Call this meeting to order, and I've asked Ms. Ann Malanzula to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. And we would like to explain that this is the meeting of the board, which is held in public to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. We allow opportunity for public comments later in the agenda. If you would like to address the board, please fill out a blue card, a white card with a blue border. It looks like this, in the back, and bring it to the dais. If you wish to speak to an agenda item, please indicate that on the card, and your name will be called at that portion of the agenda. You will have 3 minutes to speak. If you are a student, please mark student on the blue card. We're going to change a few things tonight due to the high number of public comment cards that are submitted. We would like to ask the students to address the board first before the public. And we're asking that the public allow the students to return home to get rest and get ready for school tomorrow. Okay, and we would also like to ask that your comments are free from personal attacks. And if it does take that direction, there will be some comments made to stop that discussion. At this time, if I'd like to ask Dr. Watts if there are any changes to the agenda.
President Venkatachalam, members of the board, Ms. Halley, please know that there are one change was made to the agenda. A supplemental personnel report was added to the agenda. It's in front of you on the dais.
All right, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the change to the agenda.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any questions or discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say no. Okay, motion passes. We'd like to move right into 2.0 recognition. And our first recognition tonight is 2.01, the Proclamation for Music in Our Schools Month. And I'd like to read the proclamation recognizing the month of March as Music in Our Schools Month. And we will call on Ms. Carol Brewster to accept the proclamation after I read the proclamation. All right, Music in Our Schools Month. Whereas the National Association for Music Education has designated March as Music in Our Schools Month to focus the nation's attention to the need for and benefits of quality music education programs. And whereas Music in Our Schools Month is an annual celebration that engages music educators, students, and communities from around the country in promoting the benefits of high-quality music education programs in schools. And whereas Music in Our Schools Month is a time to highlight the importance of comprehensive, sequential music education taught by exemplary music educators, and whereas the study of music contributes to young people's development through heightened skills in listening, reading, self-expression, and creativity, and whereas music education in the schools includes a broad range of types of music and active musical experiences, and now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District proclaim the month of March as Music in Our Schools Month. And I'd like to ask Ms. Carol Brewster to accept the proclamation. Okay, Allison Darish will be accepting the proclamation, and President of Kentridge, Jasmine?
President of Meeker Middle School.
Meeker Middle School, Jasmine.
All right. And then the band is here.
Normally, we would, right here, we'll make sure that's erased. Just 1 second. You ready? Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We'll have the band. You can come forward.
Come on down and count like orchestra.
All right. Yes.
So let's have the school band in front. 12 people in the back. Also 12 people in front. Come in, you can come in the front. This Ben, you go down. Parker, come on down the front. Ben, or Brittany, come on down the front. And then squish together, register, come on down in the front. And then squish as close together as you can get. Okay, now middle schoolers, squish and squish.
All right. I would like to read our next proclamation, which is Women's History Month. Whereas women of every race, ethnicity, and social economic backgrounds have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of the local community, the state of Washington, and the nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women have played and continue to play a critical economic, cultural, educational, and social roles in all areas of life. And whereas women have played a unique role throughout the history by providing the majority of volunteer labor force. And whereas women are particularly important in the establishment in early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural instructions in our nation. And whereas women of every race, ethnicity, and social economic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every majority progressive social change movement. And whereas women have been leaders not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolishment movement and the emancipation movement and the industrial labor movement and the civil rights movement and other movements, especially the peace movement, which create a more fair and just society for all. Whereas women have served our country courageously in the military, and whereas despite these contributions, the role of women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, teaching, and the study of American history. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Kent School District proclaims the month of March 2018 Women's History Month in the Kent School District and urges all citizens to join in this observance. And Mariah, Martin, and Jewel are going to.
Okay, next up is 3.0, our presentations. And first will be our Teacher Principal Evaluation Program, also known as TPEP Grant Update. And we have Dr. Luann Decker, our Leadership Development Officer, to present and available for questions from the board. Dr. Decker.
Welcome, President Venkatachalam, members of the board, Dr. Watts, Ms. Howley. This evening, we're here tonight to give our annual report on the Teacher Principal Evaluation Program, or TPEP, as it's most commonly referred to. In the Kent School District, TPEP closely aligns to our shared mission and vision for our professional development and program department. In 2013, just to give us a little brief history on TPEP, in 2013, the state of Washington allowed the 295 school districts in the state of Washington to choose between 3 instructional frameworks for teacher evaluation. The choices were Marzano, Danielson, and Cell 5D. In 2013, the Kent School District chose Cell 5D. In the area of principal evaluation, the state allowed the districts to choose between 2 leadership frameworks. The choices were AWSP, which is the Association of Washington State Principals Leadership Framework, or the Marzano Leadership Framework. Kent School District chose the AWSP Leadership Framework. In our work in Kent, we train all teachers on Cell 5D. New teachers get 15 hours of instruction on the instructional framework, and principals, in order to do their evaluation, get 5 full days as an instruction. Administrators who are using the AWSP leadership framework, or principals who are evaluating other assistant principals, get trained by the state. What you're going to notice is our KSD blueprint actually has some really nice alignment to both the Cell 5D instructional framework and the AWSP leadership framework. To highlight just one, our goal 2, which is around two-way effective communication, in the Cell 5D instructional framework, it actually calls out effective communication of student progress with parents and students on behalf of the teacher. And in the AWSP leadership framework, it speaks to engaging communities and families as partners in education. In Kent, since we really began this in 2013, we have really invested in building district-wide capacity in our own trainers instead of contracting with outside trainers to come into Kent. So this list here is our Cell 5D training and support team. You are going to see teacher leaders, mentor teachers, principals, assistant principals, and some central office staff on this list who have went through the training to be able to provide this training to our teachers and our principals. You're going to notice, and I think we're one of the few school districts in the state of Washington that actually have 3 of our staff that are state certified. They call them ICFFSs, and they are Instructional Criteria Framework Feedback Specialists. And you're going to notice we have 2 principals and an assistant principal that have met those qualifications. So the first part of that was just kind of the program. So I'm going to take just a minute to talk about the resources that support the program. The state of Washington does provide 2 grants to support our TPEP work in the Kent School District. One is for administrators. You're going to notice it's a little over $9,800. What we use this for is the AWSP leadership framework training that the principals have to go to, and any sort of training stipends for our principals that train other principals. The TPEP for teachers amount is a little over $138,000. That is very specific usage, and that is for the teacher trainings and the trainer stipends. So that is our annual overview of our 2 TPEP grants that we have in the Kent School District. Are there any questions?
I don't think so. Thanks.
I mean, this is my first time kind of seeing this. You've done it for an annual review. Does it work? Does it produce the results that you expect it to before you put it in through?
You know, I think the unique part of both of these frameworks, at least for the Cell 5D instructional framework, actually all the instructional frameworks that were chosen for teachers, was they were never designed to be evaluation tools. Their initial design was really to give effective feedback, instructional feedback, to staff for growth only. And when the state of Washington in 2010 wanted to compete for Race to the Top, they had to find an instructional framework that also could be an evaluation tool. And so, so is it getting results? I think it offers what it was designed to offer, and it does allow us to provide feedback to staff in a real consistent way.
Thank you.
There's one quick question for next year. So continues the same or changes to the program?
We don't anticipate any changes. We do have bargain language in our CBA about how much training is required for teachers. And the state takes care of the principal side for principals that are evaluating other principals.
Thank you, Dr. Decker. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we are moving into 3.02, the Performing Arts Program Update. And Ms. Ann Valenzulo, Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Ms. Cynthia Huber, Coordinator of Visual and Performing Arts, will present and will be available for questions.
Good evening, President Vengadosalam, members of the board, Dr. Watts, Ms. Howley. Visual and performing arts enrich the lives of both the performers and the audience. And I'm happy to report that there is a thriving and healthy and extensive arts program in the Kent School District. And I'd like to introduce Cynthia Huber, the coordinator of Visual and Performing Arts, to tell you about it.
Thank you. Good evening, President Vengadosalam. I was practiced that and everything. Members of the board, Dr. Watts, Ms. Howley. I am very excited to share some information about our arts programs here in Kent, and I'm super excited that I got such a great big audience for this presentation. So thank you all. So my purpose tonight is to share information on the current state of visual and performing arts in Kent, to celebrate some strengths, honors, highlights, to answer any questions that you may have, and to share some plans that we have for the future. We are aligned to your goals 1 and 2. 1, because the arts are considered basic education in state and federal law, and Washington defines that as music, visual arts, theater, and dance. And we just recently, last year, adopted new national standards for all of the arts, which address creating, performing, responding, and connecting. So I'm going to go through each grade level and what we offer for our students. At the elementary, we have music programs. Children in kindergarten through 4th grade receive 40 minutes of general music 2 times per week. And in 5th and 6th grade, students choose either band, orchestra, or general music 2 times a week for 40 minutes. Next year, due to the Learning First schedule, that will go up to 50 minutes 2 times a week. We also, at the elementary level, have some teachers that volunteer to teach choir, steel drums, or other ensembles before and after school as an additional opportunity for students. We also, in the elementary music program, we have approximately 1,000 instruments that we distribute to students in need each year so that all students can have access to those programs. We have world drum kits and sets of guitars, which rotate between the 28 elementary schools to support their general music programs. We hold vertical festivals for each high school strand for band and orchestra. Those are going on right now. We had 2 this week and have another one tomorrow night. Just last year, our teachers volunteered to start an honor band and orchestra for the elementary level. It's 100% teacher-driven, teacher volunteer time, and donations from the public for T-shirts and facility use. So that's a really exciting kind of grassroots thing that came out last year. We adopted KSD curriculum, and I don't know how many of you were here when in 2013, the last time I did a presentation. I know that Strauss was there, but we were looking at publishing dates of 1990, 1991 back then. And I'm really excited to say that since then we have adopted new resources, so we have much more current and appropriate resources that are aligned to current technology and are more engaging for our students. So that's one of the big things that's come along. And we also started using iPods for teachers because that's the current technology in music. So all of our teachers have an iPod that they can use music through rather than CDs, which is what we were using just a couple of years ago. At the elementary level, we do have visual art and drama. but it's taught by classroom teachers as time allows, as we've invested on most of our funds in music as far as a pullout goes. We have docent programs at about 9 elementary schools where volunteers come in and teach specially designed lessons that are aligned to standard to their students. And we do have a couple co-curricular drama programs often put on by PTSAs. We are currently working on, because visual arts is a core academic content area, we are working to support that more because our adopted curriculum is from 1991 and is really missing in a lot of places. So we are actually working on some recommended visual arts lessons to support teachers so they can use what they want to meet the standards, but if they're not quite sure what to do, we are handing something to them that's really written out and well designed and can use materials that are readily available at the elementary. In the middle school, we have band and orchestra at all of our middle schools. We have choir at 3 of our middle schools this year. And jazz band, much like the jazz band that was here earlier, is offered 3 days a week as a co-curricular activity. So basically it's a club, and those kids get up early to come in and practice as part of that. We do have specialty instruments available for checkout, so bassoons, tubas, things that people don't typically buy for themselves in the middle school. We have some of those available, and students may also apply for those district instruments that I spoke about at the elementary level. These students have a lot more performance opportunities to meet that performing and presenting portion of the standards, so they attend festival as well. We have regional contests. We have students involved in solo, ensemble, and community performances. This is a picture of, because we need some pictures of kids, right? This is a picture of the Kent Ridge area 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, preparing for the annual band festival. This is not quite everybody that was involved in that festival as they were rehearsing for that. And down in the corner, you can see Meeker Middle Schools. They are performing for our holiday concert at Seattle Center. For middle school visual art and drama, there are visual arts courses offered at 4 of the middle schools. I actually think it's 5 now. They do have a fairly current resource, and some of their schools have co-curricular drama programs. This is a couple of pictures from middle school art at Matson and Mill Creek. Something new that has come up in the last couple of years is that students can earn high school credit for a semester of visual art in the 8th grade. It's taught at to the high school standard, so they can go into high school with half a credit of their 2 credits that are required for graduation in the arts. High school music programs, again, we have band and orchestra at all 4 comprehensive high schools. We have choir at 3 of the comprehensive high schools. We have jazz band and chamber groups that are before school as 0 hour. Those are credit-bearing courses. And we, again, have specialty instruments available for checkouts and a lot of the same performance opportunities, plus a lot more pep band opportunities and more contests that they go to, often all over the state. We also have AP Music Theory offered every 2 years at 2 of our high schools. For the visual arts, we have, at all of our KSD high schools, the students receive instruction in draw paint, ceramics and sculpture, art applications, and AP art. And there are also some cross-crediting opportunities through CTE in ceramics, studio photography, and digital arts. These are some ceramic examples from all over our district. And I just love the color in these. They're so awesome. You see the bowls right here. I probably need to look at my notes to make sure I say this right. But Kent Lake Ceramics donated 60 bowls for, and this is the part I wanted to get right, to Empty Bowls fundraiser for the Maple Valley Food Bank. And that was just earlier this month that they did that, and that's a picture of some of the bowls that they did. They used a line process, assembly line process, that's what I was looking for, to create those bowls. Oops, I think I backed up again. And finally, high school drama. We do have drama classes at each of our high schools, and in addition, we have a very robust after-school drama program and club that puts on performances all year long. The Little Mermaid is starting this weekend. Spamalot is coming a little bit later in the year, and Walk Two Moons was at KM earlier this year. They present 2 to 3 productions per year at each high school as co-curricular activities, and our district is often recognized at the Fifth Avenue Theater Awards. And in fact, last year, both Kent Lake and Kent Ridge were nominated for multiple awards. So plans for the future, we are currently in development of those arts integrated lessons to be rolled out next fall for classroom teachers in 3rd through 6th grade, and our goal is to do that again for for kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grades the following year to support teachers in that area. We are piloting a few music options at middle school. A couple of our teachers are offering some general music programs in addition to the band, choir, and orchestra that's been offered in the past to try to catch some of those kids that maybe didn't start beforehand. And for students maybe that are looking for a music experience that is not so performance related. They will perform for each other, but not necessarily in that formal performance that the other students do. And I would love to consider, if we continue on the pathways, to think about how we support our visual and performing arts students around the pathways at the high schools. So that is all for me. What questions do you have?
Director Daniels.
Excuse me. Is there, or are there plans to update the curriculum that exists, the 1991 curriculum for the elementary visual arts?
That is not currently in the plans. We actually were going through, we were actually going through an adoption process last year when it became clear that we weren't going to be able to go forward with that, and that's where we came up with the idea to identify some lessons that could support teachers.
And I know there was concern because of a lack of choir programs at schools. Is there something that you guys have been working on to try and increase participation in elementary?
So a challenge, I think, is once a program is not there, it's much more difficult to recruit because so often our music programs are connected to the person that's teaching them. And so we're trying, a lot of people in the same strands where those programs have gone away are trying to support in recruitment efforts to build those back up. They are offered every year, and we're looking for enough students to sign up to keep it going.
I'm glad to see that you're working on integrating some visual arts into the core curriculum. I mean, that's assuming what you're doing, because that's so important, and it makes it so much more meaningful for the students, especially the ones who are really, really good at art. Also, why is there, you said there were at 4 of the middle schools it's visual arts programs, and adding one to one of the others. We've got one more middle school to go.
I need to check on that, yeah. That we need it everywhere, yeah, for sure.
I've had students that's the only reason they would come to school was to do art. And I think that's really important. All right, thanks.
Well, similarly, as we kind of integrate it through all levels, notice the art docent program is only at 9 of 28. I know that's a volunteer-run program. The question is, are there plans to expand that, given that it is mainly volunteer-run, and we can get the people, expand that out to all elementary schools? So
as we were doing curriculum review last year, that was part of the discussion, that we want to keep supporting our art docent program, but recognize that it's not covering all of the schools or all of the need. So we actually met with the people at Green River that run that docent program and had several conversations about how to best do that. And the idea was that we would try to expand it where we can, that we would provide the standards and some opportunities, and if basically the teacher's responsible for that the instruction occurs, but that it can be done by the classroom teacher, by an art docent, or whatever program that they can come up with.
Same thing, thinking about, I think you mentioned just a couple, so maybe thinking 2 co-curricular drama programs in elementary school. Any plans on expansion of that or sharing of resources, what that is?
Again, with co-curricular, we kind of focus our time and energy, quite frankly, on the school day so that all students have access. I would love to see that expand. That's back to volunteers and people that want to spend the time supporting students in that way. And it's lots of fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will vouch for it's lots of fun. I did a drama production at Jenkins Creek for 11 years, so it is lots of fun. All my questions were already answered, so thank you.
Okay, well, before I ask my questions, I just wanted to take a minute to thank all the folks who are providing wonderful performing and visual arts in our schools, and just entering classrooms and seeing how our students light up. I mean, it's just remarkable what our teachers do. And I also want to add that the information that's being published on our media about all of the programs, and I've been asking this for several years now, and I'm so excited because every Strand concert that we have a board meeting or something happens, and now we know when those meetings are going to happen, and hopefully the public will also tap into it and be able to attend some of those wonderful events. My question was regarding the cross-credit information with CTE.
Yes.
I'm just wondering how many students are taking advantage of that? Do we have a number?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I can certainly find out and get that to you.
Okay, okay. And is it only through CTE we're doing cross-credits?
In the arts, yes.
Okay.
I can't think of anything else that we do cross-credit in any other content areas yet.
Okay. And also the piloting of the music options, and you mentioned in the middle schools. Are those in the schools that currently don't have band? Or, sorry, the choir and music?
The one I'm thinking of does, yes. It is one of the schools where they've been trying to get the choir back for quite a while and haven't had the enrollment to run it, and so they're trying some other ideas to see how else we could get more kids involved.
Could you just explain what that looks like, the piloting of this?
So it's more of a general music type class. It's the first time they've offered it, and they had quite a few students sign up for it, which is interesting. And it's going to be kind of a little bit of guitar, a little bit of maybe music technology type things, and those, just kind of spreading out a little bit to see where other interests might be rather than our traditional ensembles.
So we're just getting questions and answered from the students on what they prefer to have.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, trying to figure out what they want, what's exciting. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Okay. All right. Next up is 4.0, which is our consent agenda. And I'd like to ask the board if you'd like to pull an agenda item for discussion.
I'd like to pull out 4.07, the travel authorizations.
Okay. And I'd like to pull out 4.04, the interlocal agreement with Educational Services District 112. All right, so I'll start with mine. Okay, yes. Well, first I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 4.04 and 4.07.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. All right. First up, 4.04. I would like to just ask some general information about the interlocal agreement with Educational Service District. Really, the need for that, the process by which we selected the group, and the outcome of the services, please.
Okay. So the district, to my knowledge, has always used the services of a financial advisor, so it isn't so much the choice of using a financial advisor here, but whether to go with a private for-profit entity or a nonprofit, in this case, an entity part of the Educational Service District network. The gentleman that provides the service through the ESD was, in fact, a veteran of the private sector for 30 years and has now brought the service within the network of ESDs. In terms of the outcome of the service, we haven't engaged the service yet. A couple of things motivate the recommendation. One is just in the fee structure itself, we think that the school district can save some money. But probably more importantly, it's a relatively small savings on the initial fee, but we think there's potential for even more savings in some of the other fees that we encounter in the process of issuing bonds, including, for example, the underwriter fee. So what I can say is we know we won't be spending any more money for sure, and there's the potential for sizable savings. I can't guarantee that, but that's really part of what motivates this move.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. 4.07, Director DeBruler.
Yeah, this is always one of my things when I check over the trip request forms. 3 out of the 4, to me, don't have adequate details sketched out. 2 of them about parent, guardians, and chaperones. One of them says, they've been notified and permission obtained. One of them says not yet, in a few weeks, and the other one says June 18. And I can't remember what the third one was, but I want to make sure that we have it covered, and I'd just like to see the names there. I'd like to see the boxes checked and all, just to make sure that we're really safe for our kids.
Yeah, Director DeBrew, that's a great question. Some of these, depending on when they fall, some of these are track and field and others that are determined later. And so sometimes they don't have the chaperones yet, but they will have them. Our office, as I mentioned before, makes sure we have that. You also recall we just took action on the new procedures, and so we're quickly implementing those so that we have all the information we need prior to coming here. We'll make sure we have that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve 4.04 and 4.07.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. All right, motion passes. 5.0, Board of Directors informational. And we will start with 5.01, first reading of new policy 1250, students on governing boards. Are there any questions or discussions? Comments?
Question, I mean, we saw this, I think, a week ago, and we're in work session, so we're looking at having the first reading of this. Lydia, once the policy goes in place, how soon after will the procedures be in place and thus allowing us to act on this policy?
So for now, we want to attempt to implement the procedure before the end of this school year so that we can get a representative on the board before the summer break so we can see how it works before we have a full year term. We also want to have the junior who gets on the board available the next year so that they can initiate the junior representative and get the information to them.
Thank you.
I'm excited about this. I am looking forward to having some more discussion with the student council about the procedure. I still have some things in it that don't feel quite right to me on procedure, but I'm looking forward to having that discussion on the 20th, so.
Right, well, we had a wonderful presentation by our students seen here at a work session, and we just want to thank you all for the wonderful work you've done, and we're so excited about this. I know Director Burchard had brought this up several years ago, and we're so happy to see it come to fruition. Thank you so much for all your work, and looking forward to having one of you up here, one of the students. All right, next up is 5.02, Asset Preservation Program. Any comments, questions, discussion? Okay, hearing none. 5.03, the January 2018 financial statement. Comments, questions, discussions?
I do.
All right.
Comment and question. I know I'm the last thing standing for the audience. I don't understand. So we prepare the financial statements on a monthly basis. And besides this audience and the public, are you required by any code or act to file this or make this more available than what it is now?
The monthly statements? I'll have to verify that if it's a legal requirement. We've certainly been in the habit of doing it, but I don't know if it's required by law. We've certainly have other requirements, annual financial statements that we need to file. I don't know about the monthly, but I'll clarify that for you.
Can I interject?
Yeah, you're good.
This actually started in December of 2014 when we asked as a board for this to be made public. It wasn't, prior to that, it was never made public. So this happened along with our what is the word I'm trying to say, the object code report as well. We're not seeing that anymore, but those two reports have been on our monthly board docs since December or January of 2015.
Okay, so I mean, this is January, we're a month and a half, so it's a pretty decent reporting time afterwards. So basically, on a monthly basis, we can see both financial statements and then the vouchers, so everywhere we're spending money, reporting here to the public, and of course, anybody who can go out there and read it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, 6.0, communication from the audience. Again, as a reminder, when I call the names, and we will start with our students. Let's see. You will have 3 minutes to speak. And as an additional reminder, no naming names. And please keep it clean. All right. First up, we have Matthew Shull, and then after that, we have Meridian Middle Choir students, and then Dan Kexel. It's not a student. It's not a student. So I think we only have 2 students, if I have not called your names.
Other one?
You just know, yeah.
For those who do not know, I'm Matthew Scholl, a senior at Kentwood High School. So I'm in the second year of the Chinese language program at Kentwood, the only Chinese language program in the district. While Seattle boasts of 6 high schools with Chinese as a language, as well as some of their middle schools, we only have 1 4-year program in our district. While Bellevue promotes the Chinese language in 3 high schools, including Newport, as well as dual language Mandarin programs in their middle schools, we are limiting ourselves. Through sports, I have become friends with many other athletes in other districts. Yet, whenever we talk to each other about the courses we take, they always become jealous that we offer Chinese that they do not have. This language is unique to our district, and I believe that we need to keep this that way. And even within our own district, I have friends in Kentridge when I say, oh yeah, I'm taking Chinese second year, and they're often very surprised and jealous that we have this language that they do not have. And then they want more language opportunities at their high school. Now, from my understanding, the district wants to cut first-year Chinese next year, which by cutting the first year, you will eliminate the second, third, and fourth year in the following years. I am a youth ambassador to one of Kent's sister cities, to Yangzhou, China. So I have some experience in the matter when I say that the people in China who are affiliated with this program will be disappointed with the district's handling on this program, as well as possibly Kent's lack of response to this. And the reason why this is potentially being cut, from my understanding, right, is that we have 22 students enrolled for first-year Chinese, even though we should have 26. 4 students is going to change a 4-year program. And the reason why is because out of the 2 feeder schools that we have, we were only able to attend to 1. 22 students from 1 showing of our program is quite impressive from what I would say. And I don't think it results in a termination. Now, even though we only have 22 students for the first year, we have the highest retention rate out of the other languages in my high school. And there are obvious impacts within our school, our district, the other districts that we connect to on like a daily basis. So how can we really say that we have prepared all students for their futures when we are eliminating one of their choices for a required language requirement? I just wanted to put that thought in your head. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Meridian Middle School choir students?
Hello, Kent School Board. My name is Chase Canning, and I'm here on behalf of the Meridian Middle School Choir. We'd like to present to you with this declaration. We, the members of Meridian School Choir, believe that all students in secondary schools should be given the choice of choir as an elective. Every school should have band, orchestra, and choir as decided by the district. We believe this because music is an important part of education. Choir is a fundamental part of music education as well. Choir is the most cost-effective kind of music program, and art is a requirement in high school, and choir offers a music choice to students who do not play an instrument. Music incorporates math, teaches us new languages, and informs us of the history of music. Choir helps us express our feelings that we wouldn't be able to do in other classes. Anyone can sing and enjoy music through choir. Choir is truly for everyone. Choir builds a community and a family through singing. We love choir. We believe that all students should have the choice to be a part of something special. Together, we lift our voices to sing in song. Today, we lift our voices to sing in support of what we believe in. On behalf of the Meridian School Choir, we thank you for your time.
Yeah, I actually have three more here. Apologize. Johnny Hicks, Brianna Cameron, and Zuhira Ali. No? Still no? Okay, how about you?
He has his card in his hands.
Go ahead. Go ahead and speak.
Hello. My name's Justin England. By the way, you can toss out my comment card. This is just an extra. So I'd like to start by saying that I can honestly say that I love being a resident of Kent. I really like living in this city, even though we have issues here. I think that it's a very great place to live. My favorite thing about being in the school system here, being born and raised here, I've been in the Kent School District since I was 5 years old, is the access to diversity. Every day when I walk through the doors at my school, I can see people from all different walks of life, whether that's racially, ethnically, culturally, religiously, linguistically, really any type of person that you can think of, we have it here in Kent School District. But the meaning of diversity doesn't stop there. It also means having a diverse access to knowledge, extracurriculars, and above all, having a diverse class choice. I'm deeply concerned that with 10% of my school's staff being threatened with being laid off next year, that this diverse and enriching classroom opportunity will be taken away from me as a student. So my question to you as a school board will be, in order to ensure that our school district is reinvesting all possible dollars back into the education of students, what will the school board do to ensure that students, parents, and KSD staff members have greater access to the school district budget?
I had neglected to mention that this is a listening session for the board, and we're here to listen for understanding, and our staff will be responding to several of the questions that are posed here. Okay, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
We have next up Johnny Hicks. I apologize if I didn't read that properly. Okay. John 2.
Hello. So my concern comes with counseling. Recently with the rise in mass shootings, my worry is mental health. And I don't think when I say mental health, I'm not talking about things like schizophrenia or those cases as extreme as that, because those people are much more likely to have violence done to them to be the cause of violence. I'm much more worried about people who subdue things, subdue their thoughts, don't speak out about it, and then do things outwardly in extreme ways. I think a huge part in this is counseling. These people aren't talked to. These people aren't understood or even attempted to be understood. And a huge role in that is schooling and counseling. And right now at my school, Kent Meridian, our counselors act more like administrators, focusing more on things like getting people's schedules and making sure people's graduation requirements are met rather than actually talking to students. As we know, each student is going through something, and if we don't have someone to talk to about that, then those struggles can be held internally. So I think the problem lies in counseling and getting someone in each school to deal with students directly and talk about the issues that they have.
Next is Brianna Cameron.
Hi, so I'm also from Kent Meridian High School. Go Royals.
Yeah.
And so the last year has been quite hard, as can be seen district-wide, like not being able to buy like basic school necessities such as like printing paper or even toilet paper, which has become an on-running joke throughout the district. And we've recently passed not one, but 2 levies, which the second levy, to my understanding, was to keep teachers on. So with the recent outcome that a large number of staff will be laid off, I guess I'm just wondering, where is the levy money going?
Okay, next is Zuhira Ali.
Do I use this mic?
Just speak.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm Zuhira Ali. I'm a senior at Kent Meridian High School, and I wanted to come and ask you about why there isn't a source of communication with the parents about what's going on. Why I have to tell my parents that, school and every classroom now the doors are being locked, and that there are teachers that are going to be fired, that there are people who are going to be laid off, and even though I'm not going to be here next year, I want to know that other students, other people will have that source of communication between the district and the parents, because I know my mom is always confused about what's going on, and she's an immigrant, and I'm the one who has to tell her those things. And I just wish there was a way for the district to be more transparent about what's going on when they make decisions like this, and how they're going to interact with the families and the students in a more, I think, a more professional way, instead of just teachers letting us know or finding out on King 5 News, because that's not the way I like to hear about what's going on in my school district at my school.
Chloe Mezek.
Hi, my name is Chloe Mezek. I go to Kent Meridian High School. And this morning in first period, we were told, me and my peers, that we're starting to lock the doors in all classrooms across the district. And so I was just wondering, is this the start of hardening in the schools in the wake of the Parkland shooting? And what does that mean? Where is this going as far as gun safety, as far as securing the students, but also making it remain a school, a place of joyous activity, a place where I can come and learn and feel safe and secure without having hardening affect the way I learn. So that's all I had to say, but I would appreciate if this doesn't go to a point of, metal detectors and fences and locking doors from all around the school. Oh, that's it. Thank you so much.
All right. It looks like we're moving on to adults. Are there any other students who'd like to speak?
Hello, good evening. My name is Zaytoun Ahmed. I'm a senior at Ken Meridian High School, and my comment or my question is regarding the lack of transparency that goes on and the communication between the district as a whole, between the schools and the students and the parents. And one thing in particular for me is about how we had a town hall yesterday at Ken Meridian. It was something historic for us. It was a first for our district and a first for Washington State schools, because gun control and gun issues regarding schools, it's a huge issue, a hot topic that's going on these days. And for our school to take initiative and say that instead of these things being whispered in the halls, we will have a place where students' voices are heard, and that a couple of board members came to. However, we were supposed to live stream publicly that event, as well as have 3 media outlets come. But we were told last minute that all media is barred from entering, and that we weren't allowed to live stream. And there was no reason given. That's the point that frustrates me the most, is that I can't come to any conclusion as to why that happened. And it amazes me how one can say, yes, we are proud of our students for flexing their First Amendment rights, and yet we are controlling that, and we are limiting that. This also goes about the budget cuts and how we have to hear about these things being whispered in the halls, as opposed to getting things straight from the district to the schools, or even having to read up about it before we actually hear it. We are a community, and the fundamental aspect of the word community is the word unit. We are one. And if KSD is a unit, if we are one, if we are family, then there needs to be that communication, that we can understand one another. And the fact that we talk about how the budget cuts won't affect our kids' learnings, but our schools are gonna get remarkably bigger next year. That's something that we have to deal with now. And it's just something that we have to prepare for. And it just amazes me and baffles me, and I think it's absurd how something so simple as communicating, saying this is going on, and this is the reason why this is happening. I would really appreciate it if that would happen more. Thank you.
I would like to ask our students who have not filled out a card to please fill out a card, if you wouldn't mind, after you finish. There are more.
So, my name is Jackie Wynn. I'm a senior at Kentridge High School, and this month is the month where college decisions come out, and I'm here going to comment on the teachers basically being laid off next year regarding the budget, because I have friends who did sports, had 4.0s, were taking a bunch of AP, and people like them got rejected from schools like UW. And I feel like teachers who teach very specific classes, such as AP Physics 2 or AP Art, which are very unique classes that make kids and applicants to college stand out from each other, that could possibly be cut, I feel like that would put us at a disadvantage as students, because the ultimate goal of going to high school and graduating high school is to pursue a higher education and learn more and become successful at college and life after high school and after college. So my question would be, why would you remove teachers and increase class sizes to classes that would be essential to making kids stand out in college applications and basically help them succeed at life?
Hello, my name is Ethan Brazil, and I'm a senior at Kent Ridge High School. And my main concern about this is with the teacher cuts is when you cut all the teachers, the class sizes will grow. And I just kind of want to know how that will affect, and if that's kind of a problem, because less students will get attention. And therefore, they might not learn as well as other students.
Hello, Austin Freeman, also from Kent Ridge High School. I'm very happy we have such a large amount of Kent Ridge High School students here today, and I'm just going to kind of delve in because I know time is limited. I'm going to start out by that yesterday I had the opportunity, after club meeting ended, the teacher's classroom we were using, I actually had me and about, I'd say, 10 other students had the opportunity to talk with her extensively because she had just gotten back from the staff meeting, and she kind of informed us. She kind of felt a need to inform us about what was going on. And basically, it's, yes, she understands that these budget issues started way back, like before Dr. Watts, you got here. They started mainly due to the overhiring of personnel and the extensive amount of expenses, and we understand that. But the thing is, the current administration, I believe, that other students believe, we understand you're making hard decisions, but based on the people I see in this room, these aren't the decisions we want you to make. Because we don't want you to fire 127 teachers. Specifically at Kent Ridge, we don't want you to fire reduction force. I've been told to watch what I say, but RIF 14 teachers, because basically when you get rid of the workforce, now apparently the Kent School District is also nullifying certain language in contracts that are going to raise class limits. I've heard why that teacher specifically told me, oh, I was told that, maybe next year if I keep on teaching, if I stay here in the Kent School District, class sizes could go up to 35. 35, my first period class at Kent Ridge High School is actually fairly low. I think we have like 19. That's a massive increase. It's like almost doubling the size of the class. And I think, since I know I'm limited on time, I'm also going to say that specifically that teacher, in the discussion we had, it's really frustrating to know that she actually is now probably going to be leaving the Kent School District because of her lack of basically motivation to keep teaching in the Kent School District, and now she feels specifically she wants to keep teaching social studies at Green River College or Highline College because of better employment. So I just have to say, the main reason why I'm speaking is not just in general because I've spoken at meetings before, but because I've developed a personal relationship with that teacher. And it was really devastating for me to hear about this, and things really need to change right now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Liz Franklin. I'm also a senior at Kent Ridge High School. This past December, I committed to Gonzaga University to pursue a career in education. I made my decision, thank you. I made my decision in part due to a teacher from my school who recently graduated from Gonzaga University. If young teachers with low seniority are cut, their possibility to share their experiences with students will be lost from the perspective of a recent college graduate. The opportunity for students to connect with young teachers needs to stay in our schools, and cutting teachers' jobs with low seniorities will be a detriment to the students, not only in the aspect of education, but advising them for their future life choices. Thank you.
All right, next we have Jennifer Letzi. Ketzi. Jidsi. All right, we'll go with Spencer McLaughlin. No? No Spencer. All right.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, members of the board, Dr. Watts, everybody here and everybody out in the hallway watching on their phones. Thank you all for coming tonight. I was shocked to see how many people were here. We got people in the hallway here just to listen to what's going on, and I think that's awesome. Last time I was here, it was for a class project, and I just wanted points. I talked a little bit about like schedules and stuff like that, and I left. And tonight I'm here because recently, with stuff going on around the country, and even here in the Kent School District, there's been a lot of concern, not only with teachers and students, but with people outside of the district. Because I've had family call and text me, and a lot of it comes from some of the new procedures or some of the things that have been happening. Like if you remember a few days after Florida at Kentwood, we have a fire alarm go off. And it's because, well, we found out later it's because someone's smoking in the bathroom, but in the moment, we have no idea what's going on. I didn't leave my class. I knew what happened in another state. I was staying. And I told my teacher, I said, I'm waiting a few minutes before I go anywhere. And I had some teachers talk about how they had kids crying because they were so afraid. Now, I believe it was yesterday, our school got a new policy where doors are to be locked all day throughout the day. And in an emergency or any situation where kids need to go into the classroom, the teacher, all they have to do is pull anyone in that's right there and then lock that door and keep it locked, which raises the question for a lot of students, what if I'm out in the hallway? What if I'm the one in the library, at lunch, in the bathroom? What if we're out on an assembly, running start kids coming in during second or third period or who have to leave halfway through the day? Because no one ever wants to be that student. In a lot of emergencies on the news and afterwards, you hear stories of the kids who were locked out, who were gone that day, or who couldn't find a classroom to take shelter in, and how scared they were. No one wants to be that scared. And I think a lot of the fear that the students feel is coming because we don't get the same training or explanations that teachers and administration get. I've talked to a few teachers about this, and they say, oh, well, we've been trained to do this. And we haven't. We're kids. We shouldn't be scared to go to school. We shouldn't be worried to be that kid in the hallway. And I'd like it if the board could do something, or if teachers and administration could do something to educate us on here's what you need to do to make sure that you get out that day and go home. Because that's my plan. If I'm out in the hallway, I'm going home. I'll call the school and tell them I'm fine. And I think a big concern at home, and for me especially, is I'm graduating this year. I've only got a few months left of having to deal with this. But I have a little brother who's in his sophomore year of high school. I've got cousins about to start elementary school. I want to see change now so I can be sure that they're safe later on. And that's why we had our walkout today. I think it was over 400 students left at 10 o'clock to pay respects to the 17 students who lost their lives. It would have been more, but me and a lot of people I talked to, we were worried. If something was going to happen, we thought that it would be then. And we're like, I don't know if I want to take that risk, so we stayed in class. We just stayed silent for those 17 minutes. We shouldn't have that fear where if we're just going to pay respect to someone, we might be next. And that's my concern, is I'd like to see more, maybe just more information coming to students about what's going on, and maybe some more, even like a day dedicated to doing the procedures. Like this new doors locked thing that got dropped on us out of nowhere. We got an email about it, and that's about it. Teachers weren't even sure why. And honestly, I'd just like, because I know we have a drill coming up. I think the rumor is it's tomorrow or Friday. But with that drill, maybe an explanation of how this is keeping us safe and how this is working so that we can all feel a little bit more secure in school.
I'm Jennifer Idze. Two just quick comments for those of us who are over in the overflow room, which is packed. It's very hard to hear between the microphone switching that we're missing a lot of conversation, and we missed all of the presentation on there. So in the future, it'd be nice if you send us to the overflow room that the camera could be switched for those of us to be able to view the material, because we missed a lot, and it's kind of disheartening when you spend that much time and you're missing half the meeting. My name's Jennifer Idze. I'm a parent of 4 children within the Kent School District at 2 different schools. PTA board member and officer on both of them, and I'm also a substitute teacher within the district. I'm very disappointed with the lack of communication that I'm receiving as a parent and as a community member on how we are going to fix this budget problem. I went to the presentations on the levy at my school, and I really heard them say, we are doing this to give you jobs, to keep jobs that are very important to your children in the schools. And the other presentations that I went to on the budget, where you guys talked about how we were going to get out of the mess and in the red, said no effects to our classrooms and to our classroom sizes. Time and time again, you have told me as a parent that you're taking care of me and that these are your children that you're taking care of. Since my child was in kindergarten and I went to those first meetings when the teachers were walking out and you said, we are getting you lower classrooms, I can tell you as a parent, I've seen an increase in classroom sizes, and it does not help any of my children. I can tell you as a substitute teacher that when I walk into those classrooms, it is a struggle to be a teacher for a day in there. And I commend every single one of our KSD teachers because they are amazing. I go in there for a day, and the demands of managing 22 to 23 children, and now you're telling me that you want to cut those teachers and put more children in there when they already are giving their heart and soul. This is not benefiting our children. This is not doing a service. We have got to find a better way to cut costs than by cutting 127 valuable teachers. I'm also very concerned because at our school, we have amazing teachers, and I heard they got the staff meeting call at 8 a.m. right before school started, and then you expected them to do a great job of school performing and going in front of our children. How would you feel if you were told you may be on the cutting block and then be expected to go talk to those 23 children and pretend that it's sunshine and roses when you know you may not have a job next year and you may not be able to pay for the food on your kid's table? That is not fair and acceptable to how we treat our teachers, who are our family, who are our community, who we should be able to treat. And we don't want to lose them. I am talking about amazing teachers at our school that if you cut them because they maybe have a year or 2 difference of something in that opinion, that is not appropriately how we need to do it. We need to come up with a better solution, and it needs to come with better transparency to parents and community members. Let us in on this discussion, and it's not through cutting positions. Thank you.
Renee Poitras is next.
She's an overflow.
Okay. And let's come back to her. Renee Smith. Renee Smith.
Okay, I have to say thank you to all the students here. Justin. You've done it. You just set the groundwork for what I wanted to say. All the students here. Okay, so I came here to speak on Charlene Pritchard's behalf. I've been a teacher in the Kent School District. This is my 21st year at Matson Middle School. I spent my entire career there. I had your son, Dr. Watts. You know me. I don't even know where to start. This problem with the budget is not from teachers. We didn't do this. We didn't create this. and yet you're cutting 127 teachers and administration. Makes 0 sense to me. I have a speech prepared. I do. I don't know if, I'd rather speak naturally. It disappoints me that you would come to this decision to cut 127 teachers and administration. And Charlene Pritchard, who has spent 18 years of her life in my school. I was a department head in special ed for 17 years before I went to health and fitness. I worked with her one-on-one. She is phenomenal. She has changed kids' lives. And you're gonna cut her off. 18 years of her service. Her children they've gone to the Kent School District. She went here. She's a product of the Kent School District. And you're willing to let her go, along with 127 teachers. One being a person I work with. I team teach with him. He's on his 2nd year. He's phenomenal. Those young teachers, they give us motivation. I learned so much from those young teachers. After 21 years, I learned more from them from anybody. I love their drive. And we did not create this. Somewhere in the district office created this mess. So you need to fix it. Why aren't you, cut your budgets somewhere? I don't understand. Your students are talking to you. I think I'm like the first teacher that got to call up here. I feel awesome. This is awesome. I did not think I'd get here. I fought my way into that door. I fought my way. They said, nope, no one else in. I said, I was organized to be in here. That's how I got in here. I did.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Thank you.
My time's probably up, but please reconsider your decision making and make the right choice.
Is Renee Poitras back? Yes. Okay. Oh, it's Renee.
Tanshi, hello. Renee Poitras. So I'll do my traditional introduction. I'm Renee Poitras from Mid-Island Métis Nation. My mother's Scandinavian, my father's Mid-Island Métis Nation. Greetings, Tanshi, hello. I had a little speech prepared. I'm not going to do it because it would sound extremely passive-aggressive. It just would, because it's Paraeducator Week. I come to the meetings sometimes, and I was just going to talk and celebrate a major component of the Kent School District family, our paraeducators. And I was just going to talk about how intricate they are within my classroom. So they help me with my planning. They help me manage the classroom. They do one-on-one instruction, not just like here, but actual instruction for my students. They review with me, hey, Renee, you should have done this instead. But they're also an integral part of our students' lives. When I go to the band concerts, orchestra, play, games, there are more paraeducators supporting our students than the teachers or admin. That's what I wanted to say. And I know it sounds very passive-aggressive, and that was not my intention. It's just it's Paraeducator Week, and I think they should be celebrated and not fired. And I know that sounds aggressive, and I apologize. I just don't know how else to say it. Bye-bye.
Kara Bean. All right. We will wait for Kara. Catherine Madison. All right. Let's keep going. Gabrielle Haker. No Gabrielle. Okay. Gabrielle Herkel? No. Okay. Dan Kexel?
Good evening, members of the board. Good evening, Dr. Watts. I've spoken to this board before several times, speaking to music advocacy, in particular the demise of the vocal music program in my strand. But tonight, I'm just here to talk about what I did last night. Last night, I was able to go to the Kent Lake Band Festival. I saw 165 wind, brass, and percussion players from all of the elementary schools in the Kent Lake Strand play their hearts out, and it was fantastic. It was great. I also got the privilege to conduct my advanced band of 27, and they did really great too. But it always makes me really troubled looking at such a large group of 6th graders and such a small group of 8th graders. I mean, how does it go from 165 to 27 in 2 years? By the way, if you wanted to do the math, that's a retention rate of 19%. That's atrociously bad. And that's not particular to my strand. That's happening all over the district. Our attrition rates are way above any district anywhere near us. And I've racked my brains for years to try to figure it out. I mean, it could be that I suck as a teacher. I mean, it could be that. Lord knows I've told myself that many times in the past 8, 9, 10 years. But the truth is that it's not the quality of the teacher, it's not the quality of the program, it's the policies that the district has put in place. I mean, in the past 10 years, we have added so many new elective programs, and our existing ones that have been here for 40 and 50 years have been pushed to the side. I mean, in the last decade, we've added leadership, AVID, RTI, robotics, STEM. I mean, you can go on. But this board has not, this district has not added any opportunities for kids to take additional electives. And what do I do when I speak to a child who wants to take between STEM and orchestra? I mean, I'm a music teacher. I can't advocate for either one. They're both great. I really appreciate all of those wonderful sentiments and all those wonderful things you said in support of music education, in support of what I do. But if those are to mean anything, I really strongly think that this board and Dr. Watts, we need to address that. We need to address that opportunity. That's what I think KSD 2.0 should be about. It should be about giving middle school students, giving secondary students more choice and more opportunities. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity.
So I'm Caribbean. I was out, not in the other room, but actually out in the hallway. So good evening, Dr. Watts, school board members, and the rest of the public. I'm here tonight as a parent of 4 children, 3 currently in the school district, 1 who is going to be coming up to kindergarten in a couple years. It's in preschool right now. A resident of Kent for over 30 years, and a Kent teacher for over 15 years now. I'm very, very concerned, as I know we all are, about the lack of details we've received about the district's general fund and the ongoing cuts in our district. In order to solve our district's budget problems, we all need to be very clear on exactly what caused us to be in this predicament, but unfortunately, this is not what is happening. In looking back at the budget updates over the last year we have received from Dr. Watts, the problems seem to be getting worse, not better, despite promises with every update that the newest round of cuts will result in putting the district on sound financial footing. In April of 2017, KSD staff received an email from Dr. Watts stating that over a year ago, that would be in 2015-2016 school year, we identified challenging financial trends. Our KSD revenue streams continue to fall short of meeting expenditures, and we took quick and decisive action. The fiscal health of KSD made it necessary to institute a spending freeze last spring, so 2015-2016, for the remainder of the school year. It was a good first cost-saving step. Goes on, and then we found out about the spending and hiring freeze for the remainder of the 2016-2017 school year. These measures, along with careful and conservative budgeting for the 2017-2018 year, will put us in a healthier financial position. It has taken several years to get to this point. Okay. Then we had community meetings, and we were told the district has kept a positive fund balance as a reserve to withstand these types of annual uncertainties. However, in the past 4 years, the reserve has diminished and now is in danger of being in deficit without the spending and hiring freezing strategies. However, in August, we were told that we were no longer in danger of being in deficit, but we're in fact facing a $6.9 million shortfall that we had to, let's see, I have a quote here, that we have borrowed from our capital projects fund to address immediate cash commitments. This is a short-term strategy for a long-standing problem that will require long-term correction. Last Wednesday, the school board adopted a new budget for 2017 through 2018 that continues and increases our aggressive cost control measures. The cost-saving trend will continue as we work to restore our fund balance to appropriate levels. By aggressively controlling our materials and supplies budget and reducing our permanent staffing through attrition and reassignment, we are projected to return to a positive fund balance in the coming year. In February, we found out, right after we passed the levy, that that wasn't true. Dr. Watts announced the elimination of 45 positions with the budget update. As we get a clearer sense of new fiscal reality and develop the district budget for next year, we will continue to communicate with all KSD staff. Next month, we plan to discuss what the new organizational structure will look like for KSD going into the 2018-2019 school year. This Tuesday, we found out what the new organizational structure would be, as well as other cuts. Dr. Watts said these combined efforts represent a net savings of approximately $18 million and set us on the trajectory, not only to end August 2018 with a positive year-end fund balance, but also are setting us on a path for restored fiscal health for years to come. What I don't understand is how we went from it being in danger of a deficit 1 year ago to needing to cut $18 million to end the year in a positive year-end balance because no detailed budget has been made available. Furthermore, I don't understand how cutting teachers next year, 127 teachers for next year, is going to balance our budget this year. Thank you for your time.
Okay, do we have Gabrielle Herkel in? No. Okay, Catherine Madison? No. Raina Jackson? Oh, Catherine Madison? All right.
I'm just a concerned citizen, but I have some questions for the board. This obviously is a major impact on your budget, and I would like to know why the old Panther Lake School has been sitting vacant for over 9 years. You have a cost to keep that building intact. In 2015, that property was assessed at $3.4 million. On commercial property, rule of thumb is double the assessment. So in 2015, if you use that rule of thumb, you have $7 million. The property next door to me, which is residential, in 4 years, doubled, which would then make your property anywhere from $10 to $15 million in value. Why is it still there?
Sell it.
No kidding. Thank you.
Raina Jackson.
Hello, my name is Raina Jackson, and I'm a resident of Kent, and my daughter goes to Mill Creek Middle School. She's a 7th grader. And I'm really concerned because I didn't really know what was going on until I was listening to the news. Unfortunately, I wasn't really in the know. And I'm really concerned because, one, my daughter already had to struggle to get an extra piece of paper for her art class. She already didn't have enough supplies for pottery. My daughter is also an honors student. She's in AP English. She was just recognized yesterday by the Rotary Club for being an outstanding student, and I'm really concerned with the cutting of the teachers and staff. How is she going to be able to have the program she needs to excel and to be ready for college if she's not even getting, if I know that at Mill Creek there's the potential of losing 5 teachers. 5 teachers. That's significant. They're supposed to be having STEM program. They're supposed to be having, opportunities for these kids to be able to be competitive in this world that we're moving into. So, I'm really concerned. I'm expressing that. I don't think that the teachers should be cut. Increasing those class sizes to potentially 40 kids in a class is outrageous. We're doing them a disservice. We're talking about, what does the mission statement have something to do with, creating educational excellence? And yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair to them that there's not been accountability in managing this budget. And why are we learning about it now? Didn't it start like 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Why are we learning about it, and why is this happening today? We can't manage our households like that. Please, don't hurt our kids. So thank you.
Samantha Ellsworth. Samantha Ellsworth. Okay. Shannon Jex. Oh, Shannon Yax. Apologize. No. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yes, will do.
Hi, I'm Shannon Jex. I've been in the hall the whole time, so I don't really know what's going on. But I am a parent. I have 3 children in the district, one in the preschool, a 2nd grader, and a 4th grader. I'm a little bit nervous. Hearing the news that these teachers are experiencing layoffs is disheartening. My husband works construction, and they always lay off the little guys, the ones that are cheap and don't know what they're doing. And it's hard to get experience, and it's hard to succeed. And I see that happening with our teachers, and it just breaks my heart. And I love the KSD teachers, and I just want to see people before positions. And that's all.
Okay, we have Melissa Peters, followed by Jacqueline Nguyen, followed by Ethan Brazil. Okay. Okay. Melissa Peters? No. Okay, Peter Harrelson. And then after Peter, Brian Madsen. Okay, there's Brian.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Brian Madsen. I think it's pretty clear that over the last few months, while I was running for office here, I enumerated numerous times the issues with the Kent School District budget. But probably more importantly, I emphasized the fact that when you go to consider to do a Kent School District budget and consider district cuts, you do it as far away from the classroom as humanly possible. I am not a professional educator, I realize that, but the bottom line is education occurs in the classroom, where teachers are required. And that's why when you go to consider it, you need to consider the other options. Let the grass grow longer, don't water it, let it go brown. do less maintenance on some of the machinery and equipment. There's definitely many opportunities that you have to consider and look at those things so that you can do something that is farthest away from the classroom as humanly possible. I don't know why you don't understand that. And the other thing that I don't understand is I also know something about financial analysis. I clearly know that when each of you stood up before the entire Kent public to sell the school levy, in the background, your finance department is analyzing what they're going to do to help you fix the budget issue. You knew full well, when you stood up in front of everybody, that you were going to cut teachers. So at the same time you're standing up in front of the public, you're essentially talking out of two sides of your mouth, and you're letting people know without being under full disclosure to let them know what's coming down the pike. And so after it's happened, then you lay the gavel down. You have got to be transparent. And I also know, and am smart enough to realize, that this decision is not final. You can definitely backtrack, and to use your words, Dr. Watts, moving together, forward moving together. I can tell you right now, this decision, I don't know where the definition of togetherness lost it, but it definitely got lost. Yeah. So the way you bring the community into it is you roll back. I know you don't have to make this thing completely final. You can simply roll it back and you sit down and you say, how can we involve the community in these decision-making process? What are the options that we have? We can do it just as we did. I've lived here since 1993. So whenever it was when we had these issues before, we met together in Kentwood's building or whatever it was. We went through the options. Every single parent who wanted to have input had an opportunity. We chose A, B, and C. It was a democratic process, and I can tell you, the Kent School District back then didn't have this kind of a reaction because the people that they represented on the board, they felt comfortable that those people were representing them. You ask yourself, well, why is there so many people here tonight? It's because they all feel unrepresented, and that's why you're elected. I don't know why I have to stand here and remind you of the responsibility that you have, that every single dollar that you have comes from these people who are standing and sitting around here. And you have got to show respect for that and make sure that you live up to the words that you have already put out in the public, and that is to move forward together, and you better do it with the community. Thanks.
Next up, Peter Haroldson.
Haroldson, thank you. I only hope I'm as articulate up here as the high school kids were before me. I'm an alumni of Kent Ridge High School. I'm the son of a Kent School District educator of 28 years. I'm a parent of 2 children in the district, and I'm a homeowner in the district as well. And Dr. Watts and someone else from the school district showed up at our community meetings. And you know, in the end, I feel like they played upon our goodwill and our love for our children and our teachers in selling us on levies. They promised us that the levies were necessary. We had dire circumstances if we didn't pass the levies. We were told we would lose teachers if we didn't vote for the levies. And then after the levies were passed, all of a sudden we have these announcements of teachers being laid off, being cut, driving up our class sizes, in my mind, undermining the quality of our kids' education. All these things that I can't imagine that the district didn't know and didn't want and couldn't have been truthful with the public about what was going to happen with these layoffs. But I think you guys were afraid that people wouldn't vote for the levies if people really knew. And I think if we knew the result would be larger class sizes, fewer teachers, less arts, that you wouldn't have gotten your money. And I feel like I've been had. I really do. I feel like this district has really tossed out the goodwill of the voters that have supported it repeatedly through levies. Will I vote for more levies? Probably, because I'm a parent and because I love my teachers and I love my communities. But what good teachers are going to come to our district now? What young minds are we going to have coming into our district when they aren't valued? I've been skeptical in the past, but I've kind of stood on the sidelines. I haven't really come up to speak at these things. This is the first board meeting I've been to that I can remember. But I need to get involved. But I was skeptical, but now I just don't know that I can trust this body. And I think a good question for all of you, in addition to how you fix the problem that you guys have created is how you earn back the public trust. Because I don't have it. I don't have it. I would like to have it back. Thank you.
Right, next is Heather Perks, followed by Karen Cloy, and followed by Andrea Peterson. Okay. All right, let's go to Matthew Sashko. Okay, I'm not sure if Zaytun Ahmed already spoke. Yes, yes.
Hi, I'm Heather Perks. I've spoken at several of the board meetings before. I am a parent of 4, an alumni of Kent Meridian High School, Meridian Junior High, Covington, and Brand New Horizon when it opened. I have 4 kids in the district, 2 at Matson and 2 at Meridian Elementary. I'm a PTA president, and I volunteer in the arts in our school because I believe in them. What I want to know is why was I told directly that me saying yes on a levy that I knew in my gut I should say no on? Was I told that it would save my teachers' jobs that I love and I work hard for? And it didn't. 7.9% of teachers. It's unacceptable. I'm going to yield the rest of my time to the board to answer this question for parents. And I'll just wait for my 3 minutes to be up.
Thank you. I apologize, but this is a listening session for the board, and we will be happy to respond.
We can sit here in silence then for my 3 minutes to be up.
Okay.
When do we get our answers?
Dr. Watts will respond after his superintendent notes. Okay.
So you're going to respond to this?
Yes.
Okay. I wanted to mention at the very end of my comment that I thought at the letter that was sent out by you, Dr. Watts, Kent 2.0 was insulting. I was extremely happy with Kent 1.0.
Hello. My name is Matthew Chaika. I am a science teacher at Kentridge, been there 5 years. So I don't think I'm personally going to be affected by these cuts, but as I have worked with the teachers in my building, I know that they all want to be there. And so as I was thinking about this, I thought, okay, I don't doubt the intentions of the board members. I don't. You guys, you choose to be here. I can't speak to the decisions that have been made. I don't know if they're not all good decisions, but I don't doubt your intentions. What I want to just draw your attention to is we don't want to solve this problem by getting rid of people who want to be here. You all want to be in Kent, and so we don't want to solve this problem by getting rid of teachers who want to be here. And so I want to know what's with the emergency pacing of this. It feels like it's being so rushed, and there's always going to be attrition. There's always going to be people who want to move on over time. And so I challenge you to offer up an alternate proposal that deals with this issue, or that deals with our budget issues through attrition only. Because then we're not going to then we're not going to force people out who have chosen to build their career around being a part of the Kent School District. Instead, it's, if people move, whatever, then it's their loss. But I challenge the board members to come up with an alternate plan that addresses our budget shortfalls through attrition, as opposed to forcing people out, forcing professionals out who've chosen to be a part of the Kent School District. Thank you.
Hi, I am Karen Cloy, and I have 2 kids that are in the Kent School District. One's an elementary student and one's a middle school student. I am also a PTA president, and I was very upset when I found out these were going to happen. Because as a PTA president and going to the KAC meetings, I hear how you guys are promoting the levies. You encouraged us to promote the levies. I did encourage people to vote yes for it. And now I feel like you stabbed me in the back. Because now all those teachers and employees of the school that had absolutely nothing to do with the financial crisis that you guys have put us in, now are going to lose their jobs. These are important teachers and employees of the district that had nothing to do with this. They're here to work, they're here to take care of the kids, and they are. And now they're not. Now everyone's wondering who's going to lose their job, how they're going to pay their bills. From the administration on down to, I'm pretty sure, Perez. Everyone is important here, and you guys don't seem to think that. And you're cutting 127 teachers and employees of this district. You talk about how PE and music is so important and how you're going to increase the time for them. Well, you're going to hire some new PE teachers to take the overload? Where are you going to find that money? Because you're probably going to get rid of some. Question everyone has, Are you going to get rid of the music program that we lost a few years back because you can't afford it anymore? Because you can't afford those teachers. Are those music teachers going to be out? That's another question. No one's answering any of these questions. There's a lot of housing going up in Kent. Have you looked around? Every cul-de-sac is getting, or every corner lot is getting built. Where are these kids going to go to school? I couldn't make it in this room because capacity was full. I'm in the overflow room, and with the kids in the classroom, is it legal for you to put over 30 kids in one classroom? Isn't that a fire danger to overload the classrooms? So I really feel like you guys pulled the wool over everyone's head with this levy when I heard what you guys were doing with our teachers in mind. And I'm really hoping that you think about it and figure out something else, because our teachers, we are going to lose more good teachers or the really good new teachers for what you're doing. And that's not what everyone wants here. We did not vote for that. So we suggest you fix it now.
My name's Andrea Peterson. I am a product of the Kent School District. Kindergarten through 12th grade. My kids go here. I work here. I volunteer. I'm an art docent. I'm an active PTA member. I am a homeowner. I feel like we were got by a shady car salesman. You guys told us one thing, and then the other thing happened. This is our children, our future of our community, of the rest of the U.S. You guys are starting a landslide, an awful landslide that I'm not sure that you guys can stop quickly enough. You are taking away important people, important programs, and you're just, sorry. you're leaving them with nothing. And then they're gonna look back and they're gonna be mad at us. But they should be mad at you because they are the ones that were holding the signs today saying stuff needs to change. And the kids that were here earlier were telling you stuff needs to change. You need to listen to them. Not just us as parents, but the kids, because it's their future. You're taking away from them. And they don't need to be got by a Sadie car salesman. They need to know that people are investing in them, and that's what we pay our taxes. That's what I tell my kids. You pay taxes so you have a better education so you can be better than me. And you are not giving them that, and that is not right.
We have Elizabeth Buckner. And after Elizabeth will be Mary Shield. And
I'm here.
And after Mary will be Dara Jolly.
Hi. I am a special education teacher at Mill Creek Middle School. And this is going to directly impact our special education students. This year at Mill Creek, we have a population of 10% of our students who have IEPs. Next year, we're projected to have even more than that. If our class sizes go up, which they are going to if you take away our teachers, I want you to just think about all those students who have learning disabilities, who are sitting in general education classes or their special education classes, and those class sizes are going to go up. Our administrator, Charlene Pritchard, who has been in the district way longer than I have been in this state, she is our one administrator who has an awesome special education background. She knows special education law, and she was cut. I need to ask the board, how are you making the decisions of who you are removing from our district? And you need to tell the parents that. Their children are affected by this.
Just a reminder, please, to not use specific names when you're speaking.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Mary Shield, and I'll run this like a parent-teacher conference, and I'll start with the good stuff. So KSD Forward is our slogan. We adopted it to represent the remarkable progress that we've made toward creating an inclusive community for all students. And in the 10 years that I've been here as a parent, as a PTA president, as a PASA employee, which was our award-winning parent engagement program, and as a teacher, I've seen that progress in terms of being more inclusive of ELL students, of reaching out to students from adverse living conditions, and helping close that overall opportunity gap for all of our students. We've made this progress in the last 10 years. And I think the concern we have now is, like, we're on the cusp of achieving what we set out to do, which is to close that opportunity gap. We can look in our students' eyes and say that we made that possible for them when it's not possible in other districts around the country. But now we have to look in their eyes and admit to them that we're going to set ourselves back 10 years. Not only that, back 10 years of progress, but they're worse off than they were 10 years ago. So, I guess in summary, what are we going to do as an alternative to setting ourselves back 10 years? We have to keep moving our district forward. And I think that really firmly means that this is not a time to be reducing our administrators who are keeping our schools safe. Charlene Pritchard at my school is the one providing the socio-emotional curriculum for our school so that our students are emotionally healthy. And also keeping our school physically safe during our lockdown last Friday. She was the one sweeping the halls and making sure that we were physically safe as well. It's also not a time to be decreasing teachers and increasing class size. Thank you.
Dara Jolly, followed by Amy Gerdes.
Hi. I wanted to speak because I had not heard anybody mention about special education, so I
Sorry,
appreciate...
can you please state your name?
I'm sorry, my name is Dara Jolly. I live, work, and am a parent of a child in the school system. I came to speak because I had not heard anybody mention anything about special education, so I appreciate that you did. My son is in the Specialized Link program at Seuss Creek Elementary. Awesome program, awesome school. It's an awesome program because the teacher that was in it and created it was amazing. The two teachers that are there now, both first-year teachers in the back over there. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Awesome and amazing. Each one of the Link classrooms, there's a primary and an intermediate. They have paras. Needless to say, they're awesome and amazing. More importantly, so is my son. My son, Egan, started off in Miss Harkin's special needs preschool, also at Seuss Creek. And he ended up getting mainstreamed into kindergarten at his home school. Big mistake. Big mistake. No support, mainstream general ed classroom, put him in the hallway. He's a runner. Bye-bye. Okay, great. Good plan, people. Got him back in, got him into the Link program, and where he has gone is up. Okay? 40, 50 points, math, reading, comprehension, every year. Every year in iReady, he goes up. Every year. Why? Because of the Link program, because of the teachers, because of the paras, because he gets support. He goes to gen ed for mainstream, and it's awesome. And when he has problems, when he needs that social support, they pull him out. Maybe something's not quite ready for him in gen ed. They pull him out, they give him support, and he takes off. I beg you not to get rid of these teachers. I beg you not to get rid of this class. And I beg you not to send these kids back to their home schools with or without support. We've taken 3 years to get him social interactions with kids in mainstream classrooms who watch out for him. They say, "Hey, Egan," they're walking down the hallway. He may or may not acknowledge them, but they're there for him. They make sure he's got his classroom. One of the kids sits next to him and is like, no, it's on this page, okay? He is an integral part of that classroom. He can't go into a whole different facility, let alone with 30 or 40 kids in a class. So I beg you not to get rid of that program.
Good evening. I'm Amy Gertis with Mill Creek. Our community is being threatened now by your policies and choices to handle this budget shortfall. The teachers union, principals, and district office staff were telling you guys 3 years ago there was a problem, and you did not listen or take real action. Now, my school community is threatened. As a nationally board certified teacher, worked in the district for over 6 years, and I'm now at Mill Creek. I know that safety goes hand in hand with the community we are building down here. The budget steps you're proposing and supporting are taking away people in much needed areas. Areas that support the community of Mill Creek, where we are 74% free or reduced lunch, according to OSPI last year. A high immigrant population, and students that are coming from tragic circumstances in their homes and from abroad. Our kids need all the support we can get, and taking away an administrator that has been so effective is unacceptable. You're looking at numbers and not the impact this person has on us. I'm speaking of Charlene Pritchard and the whole plan to reduce the staff at Mill Creek. Ms. Pritchard is my admin currently. She's a former SPED teacher at Matson who's kept the entire staff motivated for what was best for our students. She is currently furthering her education, getting her ELL degree, because that's what Mill Creek needs. This week, despite the horrible news that you guys gave her last week, that she would no longer have a job, she has thrown a fabulous classified staff week and just came, like many of the Mill Creek people did, from STEAM night. We rolled in here from 6:30 to 7:20 today. We have been up since probably 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. She is a fabulous coach volleyball, gymnastics, 17 years. Her children are shining examples of what the Kent School District should be. Her daughter has volunteered since she was 16 with kids that not everybody would want to work with. Her daughter, Crystal, was a para in the district. And I get the news last week, you're cutting her due to the budget. We have over 800 plus kids, 250 ELL, most of them new to the country, and 80 SPED kids. We need her. So here's my question. In the KSD Forward update that was sent out on March 5th, 2018, it was reiterated to us that the district has the goal to recruit, hire, develop, retain a diverse premier workforce. How do you plan on doing that when you're taking away the jobs of some of your best employees? Thank you.
All right, Jacqueline Henley, followed by Olivia Manu, followed by Christy Padilla.
Good evening, President Venkatasalam, Board, Dr. Watson, Ms. Howley. My name is Jacqueline Henley, and I'm the music specialist at Horizon and KEA's Secretary and Treasurer. Our blueprint is entitled Leaning Forward Together. Leaning Forward Together. And it states, our core values drive our culture and answer the question how we want to act consistent with our mission. We have lost our core values. It states that our core values are equity, excellence, and community, and I'd like to address all three. Equity. All students have equal access, programming, and resources. Our staff is losing an instructional coach and an academic interventionist, mostly who serve our most marginalized students and help close our opportunity gap. We've seen cuts to our programs. Tonight we're touting Music in Our Schools Month, but I've stood at this meeting every year for the last 4 years telling you that our choral program is being destroyed. We've had no opportunity for Cedar Heights to restore their choral program this year, despite teacher activism to try and retain it and recruit. It's not because of there not being kids to actively recruit. It's because of administrative decisions and a lack of support on behalf of the district to reinstate and support K through 12 arts programming. And at each of these meetings, we've never heard one response from the school board or our superintendent. And we've heard from our students about the lack of resources. In terms of excellence, you've heard from the students who've spoken tonight about the obstacles that these potential cuts could have to their academic achievement. But we also know that academic excellence requires high-quality practitioners. We cannot retain high-quality teachers if we choose to lay them off, and if we go through processes like these that make our highest quality teachers not want to teach in our district. And we've seen a huge loss of teachers over the last few years that have left for districts that surround us that offer better compensation, better work environments, and better partnership with our district leadership. We also have been told that we will be seeing split classes and higher class sizes. This could mean that I, as a general music teacher in my 5th and 6th grade general music classes, could see 40 plus students. Now, we've seen amazing examples of what our district can achieve with our students and the great characters that we are growing, but I'm not a wizard. I can't teach 40 plus students. It's not safe. It will not produce the excellence that we hold in our core values. And last but not least, community. It says that community engagement and proactive involvement is required of all stakeholders in any district priorities and partnership. I understand that this RIF was a decision that was made by our executive cabinet. That's a handful of people that have made a decision that impacts thousands. That's not community engagement, and that's not involvement of all stakeholders. I urge you to re-examine what our core values are: equity, excellence, and community. This is not everyone leaning forward together. We've lost our community, we've lost our staff, and we've lost our kids. They're being left behind.
Sorry, we're going to switch up the order a little bit. Olivia's going to let me go first. My name is Maureen Terry, and I am a third-year teacher at Kentwood High School. And I thought you would all like to put a face to one of those 27 staff you are laying off, because I will most likely be one of them. I teach AP World History, a program that I've helped build and grow at Kentwood High School from 0 classes, and we are now at 4 classes. I also teach ELL, English Language Learners, serving about 150 students at my school. I find it unacceptable that because of your decision, I will most likely be losing my job. I have done nothing, and neither have the other 126 staff members and admin to lose my job. All the teachers I know, whether veteran teachers, I see a lot of them here from Kentwood, and veteran admin, and new teachers like myself, we are dedicated to our students, our programs, and our community. We were under the impression that the levy would protect our jobs. Again, I'm a third-year teacher. I love my job. I love Kentwood High School. I do not want to leave it. And because your decision, I now have to look elsewhere and leave the home and the programs that I have helped build and create. No one seems to be able to tell me if any jobs or endorsements will be protected. I don't know if ELL is protected. I don't know if AP classes will be protected. I don't know if SPED is protected. Furthermore, now I'm expected to wait until the middle of May to find out if I have a job. How am I supposed to wait that long? The next 2 months, how am I supposed to go to work and do my job effectively and serve all of my students who need me? How am I supposed to do that until the middle of May, not knowing anything? So, I know I have more time, but I just want to say this is unacceptable. And thank you all for being here.
Good evening. I'm Christy Padilla, representing the Kent Education Association. President Vagadalisum, Dr. Watts, members of the board, and Ms. Howley, I'm coming to you tonight to speak on behalf of the Kent Education Association regarding the reduction in force information that was provided to our members yesterday. While this information was being provided to our members, there was a calculated decision by our district to inform me at the same time with no heads up. KEA members have recognized for several years that the district was on a spending trajectory that was unsustainable. Unfortunately, that recognition has come to fruition, and our district has found itself again in the need to make cuts in order to balance the budget. Last spring, district leadership provided opportunities for community input in order to meet the budget challenges. At those meetings, district leadership assured the community members that the cuts would be kept away from our classrooms. Well, I'm here to assure you that by cutting 127 FTE, the district could not make cuts any closer to the classroom. Information presented to our staff assured our teachers that the number of split classes will increase. Classes will begin in overload. Many elective classes will be eliminated, including but not limited to inclusive education programs and classes, as well as our advanced placement classes. I'm here to tell you, KEA members find these cuts absolutely unacceptable. The Kent School District must not solve their budget mistakes on the backs of students and their teachers. It is also not acceptable that decisions are made by a handful of district leaders behind closed doors, who then make an announcement to our taxpayers who just approved 2 levies and to our KSD employees that they plan to cut 127 FTE that affect them directly. As leaders, you can't lead if you don't have any followers. You can't have followers if you don't include them in the decisions and the process that you make. My call to action tonight is to implore you to involve the people in the process. Together, we can find creative solutions to solve the budget shortfalls together. It is unacceptable to implement cuts that will hurt the education of our children. I've answered phone calls 24/7 the last 2 days, teachers and community members trying to bargain with me. What can we give up so that we can keep our employees and we can maintain the level of funding for our children? We are willing to sacrifice. Teachers are willing to sacrifice. Community members are willing to sacrifice. I don't know what the district is willing to sacrifice. But I hope that you will come together and you will take the leaders in this district. We can come together and find creative solutions that would not involve cutting programs and services and people who have relationships with our students. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Olivia Manu. I have 2 daughters in the Kent School District, one at Sunrise Elementary who will be moving up to Meridian Middle School next year, one at Meridian Middle School who will be moving up to Kentwood next year. On top of being a parent, I'm a community member. I chose to move my family to Kent 10 months ago, in large part because of the well-rounded education they could receive in the Kent School District. In addition, I contribute to the City of Kent as a over 10-year veteran police and fire medical dispatcher. I am here primarily to advocate for the choir program at the middle schools. Music is a lifesaver. It is not an elective. Within a week of the Florida shooting, I sat at the Kent Police Dispatch Terminal and listened as Meridian Middle School went into lockdown for a student out of control, knowing that my daughter was in the classroom affected. I went home after work, and because of the music education that I received, I was able to deal with what happened by sitting at my piano and singing at the top of my lungs while tears streamed down my face, knowing that that could have been my daughter. The same week, I sat at a fire dispatch terminal while we had fire staging for the incident at Highline Community College with reports of shots fired in the classroom. I went home that day and I sat at my piano and I dealt with the real world through music. How much more do those kids that are sitting in those classrooms while that happened need their music? What other class can my daughter go to where she can cry while she processes life while doing her best work? She can't do it in English. She can't do it in history. She can't do it in PE. But she can go to choir every day, and she can deal with what happens in life. She can sit there and cry over her stepbrother who passed away a week ago as they sing songs that relate directly to what her life is experiencing. I have a 6th grade daughter who's going to Meridian next year who has signed up for choir, who now is wondering if she's going to be able to take that program. I wouldn't have moved my children to the Kent School District if I wouldn't have been certain that they were going to get the well-rounded education that I was told was here. I have a volleyball player. I have choir students. I have a daughter whose favorite thing in the whole world is science, STEM, and robotics. I have a daughter who wants to go to law school to become a child welfare advocate. And I thought this was the place that I could move my family to prepare them for that. And I'm not confident anymore. Thank you.
Here we have Dee Clem next, followed by Carolyn Kelly, followed by Sarah Friedman, and Melissa Benner.
Good evening, President Bangladaslam, Dr. Watts, Board, Ms. Halley, My name is Dee Clem. I've been a resident in Kent for over 25 years and a KSD parent for 14, and I currently have a sophomore at Kent Meridian High School. I did serve on the Citizens for Kent Schools during the levy campaign and am not surprised by the cuts the district is making. And it's why I worked so hard on the levy campaign, because where I sit right now, thank God it passed. As I expressed in an email when the admin cuts were announced, the who and the when for that were very unsettling. Yet I knew there were still more coming. So here we are tonight with a room full of angry parents, community members, and students. But the reality is, every person in this room cares about our kids, and that is exactly why we are all here. And just like every other time that our districts faced a financial hardship, because this isn't the first time since I've been involved in schools, I'm here to ask you, Dr. Watts, and the board to keep kids first. Please listen to what is said tonight, answer the questions, and address the concerns. We need to know that we've been heard and that our questions and concerns matter, because we do need to move forward together. Our kids need us to work together. We all need to realize that as angry as this room might be right now, we do have the power to turn this anger to action, and I want that action to serve our kids, to give them the best we possibly can. As district leaders, you need to engage with us, all of us who care about kids, so we can help to bridge the gaps and support our students and staff through this. Please help us turn this anger to action. Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Caroline Kelly. I'm a tech integration specialist and a librarian for Carriage Crest Elementary. I come here with some solutions. I've come here today to urge you to consider postponing the move to 50-minute elementary specialist classes and keep the current 40-minute schedule. And these are the reasons why. This would not cause this would save the jobs of at least 30 classroom teachers who would otherwise have to be RIFed, but still we would need to hire at least 30 to move to the 50-minute schedule. This would not impact our students because our students would still receive 2 classes of PE, 2 classes of music, and 1 class of library each week for 40 minutes, which is actually an increase from the past. This plan to move to 50 minutes is also ridiculous because there's only 1 library, gym, and music room in each school. How am I supposed to have 2 library classes of 40, 20 in one class, 20 in another at the same time? My elementary libraries are not that big. Currently, this year, many PEs, actually probably the majority of schools, are in what's called overload, which means we have extra teachers coming around to different schools to teach. There's literally not enough minutes in the week for all the classes to have PE or music. So they have overload. However, there's only 1 gym. An elementary gym is not big enough for 2 classes, barely, so 1 goes outside. If we move to 50 minutes, there could be the need for 3 classes at the same time. We live in Washington. While there is a covered area in most schools, that does not protect our students from the wind, the temperature, and frankly, the concrete. Music is now, our general music for 5th and 6th grade classes is now taught in what formerly was used as a supply closet. Granted, it is labeled an orchestra room, but I urge you to come visit it and see what it looks like, because it's a closet, a windowless closet, where she now teaches music. When there's more, where are they going to go? They could go to the classroom, but can you move Pianos are heavy. They don't move to classrooms very easy. The drums, the beautiful drums that our school district has, you can't move a class set of drums around from building to building or even around the school easily. The guitars, that takes time away from instruction for a kid to go collect their guitar and bring it to their classroom. It just doesn't work. This is about kids. And while hopefully some of those positions that would be of the 127, if we went to the 50-minute schedule, we would need 30 more librarians, PE teachers, and music teachers. Not a lot of people have those endorsements. So those teachers can't move into those positions very easily. Why would we move them when there could be 30 more classrooms across our district, which could serve roughly for 20 students a class, 600 more students could have a class that is not overcrowded?
And Ms. Kelly, to be fair to the other speakers.
Oh, did my time go up? Can I just mention one more thing? iReady. According to iReady's website, it costs around $6 per topic to provide those tests for our students. Do you know what that looks like when you give a kindergartner a test for the first time on a computer that they've maybe never used before? And when they ask me, Ms. Kelly, I don't know what to do, I have to say, just guess, or I can't help you. This is their first experience at school. This is a waste of our money that could be spent better elsewhere.
Hi, my name's Sarah Friedman. I apologize for the notes on the envelope, but budget cuts. I wanted to put a face to the names you've heard of the 127 teachers that will be cut because, hi, that's me. I'm from New Jersey, and I got my master's in New York in May of 2017, so this past May. I went to a job fair in Brockport, New York, eager to start my teaching career, and was immediately offered a job at Kent School District. Excited by the opportunity to move 3,000 miles and teach at such a diverse school district, I happily moved across the country from my family in the comfort of the East Coast. When I accepted this job, I was told that I would be guaranteed at least 2 years of security. I'm in the middle of my first year, and I'm facing a possibility of a RIF, where I may have to move back to New Jersey, which isn't cheap. I was not made aware of the budget deficit after I had accepted my 6th grade position and made the move. It's unfair that many of my colleagues, including one that's here also from Vermont, and I were promised that this position would last for at least 2 years, and now my job, my friends, and my KSD family are being ripped away from me. This isn't my fault. This is not due to my performance as a teacher. This is due to the poor decisions about the budget. Thanks for your time.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Watts, Ms. Howley, and everyone here. My name is Melissa Benner. I am a teacher librarian, technology integration specialist for the Kent School District out at Jenkins Creek. And I was here just, I think, 2 board meetings ago expressing myself and my heartfelt concerns about the impactful reductions to the IT and the tech integration departments. And I know afterwards I had talked with Karen and Denise, and we were kind of consoling ourselves over the fact that it's really sad that we have to always meet when something terrible is happening, such as a financial crisis like this. That's really disheartening to both of us, both you guys and us. We know it can't be comfortable listening to all of our stories, and it's very uncomfortable to have to come up and share them. But on behalf of my students at Jenkins Creek, the teachers who are willing to volunteer their time, and myself, I would like to invite you out to Jenkins Creek to celebrate something. Our kids were unable to go to a tech expo this year because of some budget cuts, and I understood that. That made some sense with the amount of money that costs us. However, they still wanted to have a night where they could show off their skills in technology. So on March 27th at 6 p.m., we'd like to invite you to join us to celebrate their skills in technology, research, and STEAM. And my second graders have built or wrote cards for you. So do you mind if I come up and deliver those? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Mary Ellen Lancaster, followed by...
Hi, I'm Mary Esther Lancaster. I'm a 4th grade teacher over at Sunrise. I'm also a PTA member and a committee member this year as a first-year teacher. I'm also a track coach, and I tutor about 10 kids at Sunrise Elementary in my free time, unpaid. So last year, I was recruited in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at a job fair by the Kent School District. They came all the way out there. They recruited us. So I spent 6 months now with students in a crowded classroom. We've grown close. We've become a piece of each other's lives. And you know what? I wish this year could go on indefinitely. I'm going to remain with those kids all my life, and I hope they do with me. So today I come to speak to you, not on my behalf, but on behalf of the students of the Kent School District, especially my 4th graders in my Sunrise classroom. Children need stability in their lives. We're told all the time, continuity of care is important. Kids need this one person in their life how it's going to make their difference. The bus driver, the crossing guard, whoever it may be. We speak of the equity they need, that constant. So I fully believe in this. I believed when the Kent School District flew 3,000 miles across the country and came to my job fair recruiting newly graduated students that they were in dire need of these people to be constants in their children's lives. So I said, you know what? Let me put my master's degree on hold. I was halfway through my program because I have a choice in my education. These kids don't. They're in 4th grade. They needed someone. So I came here to be the constant person in their lives. The person that next year they're going to come back, they're going to say, hi, Miss Lancaster. And they're going to feel calm. That anxiety, that lump in their throat, it's going to be gone. They'll feel okay being at school, even when other things aren't going right in their life. However, I came to the Kent School District and I learned you're just playing games. You're taking the stability. You're taking that constant out of those children's lives, out of the school in Kent. I'm going to publish that as this year in 2 weeks, the Kent School District will be returning to the same job fair I got recruited at to recruit more teachers as high. I'm a leave replacement. I don't even get counted into that seniority list. I am automatically guaranteed and have already been told. There's great schools in Washington that you could apply to. Thanks for being here this year. So, I plan to tell us, and not as some 22-year-old who's going to blast Facebook and say I'm a little ticked off, but as an educator to inform others who care about the betterment of children's lives, that continue to care about students versus the benefits of the district. So my final note, I hear my timer going off. When you go to bed tonight, I want you to remember that these are the people who are personally taking away that stability and that constant out of children's lives, and to please think about that as you're taking away those 127 jobs, not including the people who flew over here to do it. Thank you.
We have Liz Jones, followed by Michelle Greenwood Pettinger. And we have Dan Kexel again with, I don't know, we have 3 cards for Dan. Naomi Rosario is after Michelle Greenwood. Liz Jones. Liz Jones, okay. Michelle Greenwood.
I'm right here. I'm the person whose emails you ignored 2.5 months when I asked about the $6.9 million budget cut. I'm Michelle Greenwood Bettinger. I sat down with people from the district on December 1st to find out about the $6.9 million budget cut. And it's basically, the best I can figure from all the spin was it was a clerical error. That usually there's about 50 kids alternating, then it was 500 kids. I'll be completely honest, I did not vote for the levies because I am tired of my taxpayer dollars being squandered on clerical errors. The HR department a few years ago, how many teachers lost jobs because the HR department didn't process paperwork? So, I have 2 children in the district, very deeply invested in the music program, by the way, but that's been pretty much decimated. I've done a records request on that. I've got this much documentation about how the attrition, you can do a records request, everybody, but this is specifically what I would like to speak about. I'm calling on the school board to either cancel the planned reduction in force and cuts to programs or rescind the Prop 1 levy, which was specifically presented to voters to, and I quote, maintain the current level of educational excellence, end quote. Eliminating teachers and thereby increasing class sizes and eliminating or reducing funding to any existing electives or programs is not using the funds requested in that levy for what was promised. Our students and schools are already bearing the brunt of the cuts in force due to the administration's catastrophic accounting error. To enforce more cuts and reduce services renders the Prop 1 levy null and void. Our children and teachers deserve much better. That's all I have to say. There is a precedence too in Washington State for school boards voting to rescind, to rescind prop levies.
Good evening. My name is Naomi Rosario. First-time speaker, so have some grace. My tenure teaching. I taught in Seattle Public Schools, that big district up north, for about 9 years. I bought a house here in 2007, because back then, Kent was the only place I could afford because I was on a teacher salary. But I love it. I had an interview with HR. They're like, we want you. And I'm like, you'll take me? I'm going. Because for once in my professional career, I live, work in the same community. I have a first grader at Seuss Creek. And we were talking about class sizes, and he goes, Mommy, I have 18 kids in my class. And I'm like, wow, sweetheart, do you like it? He's like, yeah. And in my head, I'm like, what's next year gonna be like? Okay. Excuse me if I go on tangents as well. When I came here from Seattle, I had no technology in my classroom. I had to buy my own modem out of my own money so I can hook up my donor shoes Chromebooks. That's what I sacrificed in Seattle to give my students the best education. I come to Kent, what? We got a smart board? That is like standard issue in classrooms? We have all this tech? What? I got paras. 9 years in Seattle, I had 28 third graders, no paras. But I could still differentiate like the best of them. I could still run centers like the best of them. I came to Kent because I wanted to be in my community. Oh, and BT Dubs, I teach third grade at East Hill Elementary, probably the toughest school in this district. What's up, Pleasure Base? It I'll tell you what, I will speak for our teachers. This whole equitable, downsizing or whatnot, like, oh, what are we going to do? Three grades, 3 classrooms in every grade, K6, whatever, across the board. It doesn't work. When you have buildings where our children are in such need, in trauma, Some of our staff are continuing to battle trauma because of our children in trauma. And we're going to hear news that you're going to take some classes that were 4 to a grade and cut them down to 3, when we know the best solution is to keep making those class sizes smaller, because that's what our kids need. You have to take a look at the buildings in our school. You have to build relationships with those buildings. Educators, we were taught from day one, relationships. Know those children. Build relationships, trust, communication. So I'm asking the school board and the district, know your schools. What are your relationships with your schools? If you have a relationship with your schools, you will know that, yes, some schools in certain areas can function, y'all, with 3 classes per grade. Not at East Hill. We need our instructional coaches. We need more administrative support. These children need more counselors. I teach among the toughest educators at East Hill, because we go in knowing all the stuff we have to face, and we support one another. So in the end, I am a proud mom of a Kent School District student. I am a proud homeowner in the city of Kent, because, you know, Amazon's been pricing me out of Seattle for years. And I am a proud educator. What I am not proud of is being an employee. There's a difference between being an educator and an employee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Leanne Struble, followed by Ryan Simpson, followed by Fred Munch, Melissa Mann.
I am Leanne Struble. I am a parent. I am a PTA member. I am a 3-time Golden Acorn winner. Go me. I have a senior this year. I have a junior. My junior wants to be a teacher. Heads up, Kent Ridge, she's already picked which one of you's job she's taking. But tonight, I'm angry. I'm a preschool teacher. So like I tell my preschoolers, you lied to me. Now you need to think about how that makes me feel, because you made me part of your lie. You told me if I convinced everyone to pass that levy, the education, that would not impact the education of my children. So I convinced people. And now I have to face them and say, sorry. And you didn't even have the courage to tell me this. King 5 News, thank you very much, told me that 127 teachers were being cut from my district. Thank you to the Kent Ridge teachers who told my children 14 teachers are leaving Kent Ridge. Not okay. Who's leaving? Are you taking away my daughter's choir? How about her AP classes? We sat with her counselor, the college she desperately wants to go to, and the college said, if you want to get in and you want to be guaranteed that you get to go to the college you want and the program you want, take these classes next year, and she signed up for every one of them. Are you taking them away from her? Are you taking away the place she wants to go to school and the dream she has? You owe me an apology. You owe all of us an apology, because you knew before that levy that drastic cuts were going to have to be made, and you should have told us. You should have told us. I want you to tell me now who's being cut. I'll find out, because I have a good relationship with the teachers and the administration at my school. I give them cookies. It helps. Trust me. I'll find out. They'll tell me. But you need to tell me. Step up to the plate. Take the hit. Tell me how you're going to impact my child's education. An AP class of 40 students AP classes are hard. They're hard when there's 25 students. They're hard when there's 28 students. They're impossible when there's 40 students. You have to rethink this. So, I know you're going to be listening tonight, but I'm going to help you out. I have my calendar. Pick a date. I will rearrange everything. Any date, I will meet with you and I will hear your answers. I'll be the first one to sign up for a committee to work on this. You have my name on that card. You can call Kentridge, ask for this crazy Struble lady. They all know me. They'll find me. And I'll do it. I have every date open except for Saturday. Because Saturday, I am going to be at Auburn Riverside High School with the Kentridge High School Choir solo ensemble kids. I'm going to watch those kids kick off from state in that choir program. And I'll be there the entire day. But you owe me an apology. Pick a date. I'll happily come here and sit down and listen to what you have to say.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Melissa Mann. I have been teaching for, this will be my 16th year. I am from Chicago. I moved here in 2014 from Charlotte, North Carolina. And there were some things that I heard that I was not pleased with. And one of the things that it seemed like I want everyone to know that Dr. Watts did not create this budget deficit. In fact, he walked into it. So I don't blame you for the mess that we are in. Absolutely not. Now, what I do want to say, being an educator, originally from Chicago, what I do want to say, and even teaching in Charlotte, North Carolina, where teacher cuts are bound to happen in any field, in any school district. But what I believe needs to happen, if you're going to make teacher cut, I believe that it should be solely based on teacher performance. If you ask me, look at the teacher test data. Because I'm not going to sit up here and say that every teacher can educate our youth. And I know there are some good teachers, and I know there are some bad teachers. But I prefer, because even in my school, and I know someone mentioned Scenic Hill is one of the worst schools in the school district. Well, let's look at Pine Tree Elementary School. I am National Board certified. I have been teaching for, like I said, 16 years. This is my second time coming before the board. And at Pine Tree Elementary School, I look at some of the staff. I look at some of the classroom. I have 26 sixth graders in my classroom right now. I have had more fact finding than any school that I have taught. Do you know why? It's because I have high expectations. I hold myself accountable. I hold my parents accountable. And I hold my students accountable. But what I found to believe is that principals are incompetent when it comes to knowing the board policies and FERPA. I'm sorry, some of y'all might not like me, but I'm going to speak out of the truth. Period. Now, I know some students talking about, oh, well, the classroom doors should not be locked. No, I lock my classroom door at all times. Because when I first started working at Pine Tree Elementary School, I realized the front entrance door is not locked. I was like, that door should be locked. I believe every door on a school building needs to be locked. That's safety issues. Because I don't want anyone to come in my building and shoot up my students, get along with me. I am a single mother of two beautiful sons. So I'm just saying that, I know no one wants to lose their job. But I want you to know, Dr. Watts, that I stayed in this school district because of you. There's not enough African American teachers. I have 26 students And do you know what? I have excellent classroom management. My test scores, my data SPA scores, is probably the best in the school. Because I teach. I keep my students after school once a week for homework camp. I stay up late. I work on weekends. Doing lesson plans and grading papers.
Miss Mann, I'm very sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking.
Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Simpson. I'm a teacher at Northwood, as well as a coach, a PTSA member, a member of the Kent Ridge Football Booster Club, a foster parent, and teaching art, leadership, and food fads and finance this year. In addition to that, because I'm a K-8, I've also taught language arts, I've taught social studies, I've taught science, I've run the gamut. I'm not sure what I'm going to be teaching next year or if I will still have a position at my school, as I might get moved to another place. 7 years ago, I was RIF'd the first time this happened. I fought my way back into this district because I believed in my students, I believed in my administration, I believed in the people that I taught with. I'm here tonight, though, on behalf of my leadership students because, well, they're 13 and they can't drive, so they couldn't be here this evening. I'm also hoping that they're going to bed before 11 o'clock. But for the first 4 years of teaching, I fought to get leadership programs in my school. Finally, in the 5th year, I was able to do that. Now, 5 years later, we've been running leadership programs at Northwood, and I'm happy to say not only has it won last year the middle school program of the entire Washington state, but in addition to that, I can most definitely say that I have one of the most diverse and equitable group of students, two groups of students that I have ever had. These students understand that the idea of character education, that social emotional learning, is not something to add to their plate. It is the plate upon which everything else is built on. It is important, and it's something that not enough students have the opportunity to see. My students, over 200 students in our building today, participated in the student walkout that happened across this country. Just this last fall, they raised over $3,000 for suicide prevention through the Out of Darkness Walk. In addition, they are currently raising money to build wells in Kenya and will do a 10-mile walk around Lake Youngs on April 27th to join the We Walk for Water. All of these things are happening because they have those opportunities and because there are teachers, not just myself, but teachers in that building that support those students and make sure that they have what they need. I've been teaching literally just 2 days ago about something called a trust triangle, with the idea that there are 3 parts that make up trust: empathy, consistency, and authenticity. And of course, the cross-curricular part, you take one of its strongest structure. You take one of those parts away, though, and it falls apart. For example, you can have empathy and consistency, but a person who's not authentic, how can you ever develop trust with someone? And this is where my students had the first question that I wanted to ask. They said, well, wait a minute. Based on what we're hearing that's happening just that morning, on Tuesday morning, based on what we're hearing, how can we have the trust in our district? How can we have the trust in the people who are even above you and above our administration to say, this is what you need? In addition to that, they looked at it and said, we have students who are part of something called Man on the Move, or Men on the Move. African-American students who had the opportunity to actually step up with other students from around the district and see the potential that they have and understand that. That individual who is running that program has been laid off. In addition, we've taught things about that you need to look at the 8 essentials. The idea of patience, kindness, humility, respect, selflessness, forgiveness, honesty, and commitment, things that make a servant leader, where a leader is not given a position, but they earn that position. That's what my students learn, the idea of service and sacrifice. And the big question that they have is, if those are the standards that we have to follow as students and the standards that we have to follow as leaders, why then does our leadership not follow those themselves? Thank you.
We have Fred Munch. Fred Munch, followed by Maureen Terry. Maureen's, okay. Carla Davis. After Fred, Carla Davis, and then Stephanie Ruggiero and Eric Morberly.
Testing. Good evening. My name is Fred Munch, and I'm a longtime resident of Kent. We come up here from California, actually, in the merger between McDonnell Douglas and Boeing almost over 21 years ago. I'm the proud husband of a very distinguished teacher that just recently retired from the school district, a very dedicated teacher with a great at her job. I am also the father of a great son that grew up here. He went on to become very proficient in his education. He went to UW, became a biochemist, and now working at Fred Hutch University, cancer research, doing research to save and fight the battle against cancer. So I'm a proud investment in this community. And it's very sad to me that, that the board has, and the school district for that matter, has belied the trust of the community by the fact that when I attended, for example, the town hall meetings to explain the need for the levy, we had a very good, intimate relationship with the people that were presenting their case, basically. And one of the key elements of that discussion was the saving of jobs of educators, not laying off educators. That was a key point in that sale pitch, basically. So I didn't vote for the levy because I didn't trust what was being told me. I had doubts about the sincerity of what was being told, and that proved to be valid. But I suspect because how close the election was to pass the levy, that had the board been more transparent about the facts, you wouldn't have won the levy anyway. So I would suggest to the board that based upon that commitment and that statement alone was a misdirection of facts. And I would also assert that maybe that this should be reviewed by the Attorney General's office because this is fraud. It's definitely fraud because you misused facts to get something passed that you wanted money for.
That's right.
And the other irony about the whole thing is there was an opportunity at this point in time in the history of the board to come forward, and the school district for them, but to come forward and have a better dialogue with the community, to get a better embracement of what we can do together to solve this problem. It's not going to be fixed easily. There are going to be sacrifices that have to be made. That's a lot of money we have to raise. But you didn't do that. You missed the opportunity. And then you expect us to trust you. And what's even more on the calculations of work, either the calculations of what you did, you've now compressed the teacher population to a point where they have larger class sizes. How can we possibly tell our kids are going to be successful? Because when you increase a class size, it's a mathematical relationship, the fact that you're not going to be as very good at doing your job of educating kids because you got too many kids to teach in the first place. It's a non-win situation. There's a no-win situation whatsoever. So I would suggest to all that's here today, this is a question not for the board, but for us. What are we going to do to fight this and make it right? What are we going to do to address all these issues? To step talk at the podium here, we can't just do talk, we need actions. You need to get aggressive and force the board and the school district by your activity and activism to make a change. We're seeing that happen today in Parkland High School. Those kids are being moved today that's going to try to address violence in our country. We need to have the same compassion for our kids here as they do in Florida to solve this issue. So the question really I'm leaving today is why don't we fight and get up and get this right? But you have to stand up yourselves and do this. You just can't stand here and talk. It's time for action. Thank you very much.
Stephanie Rugier.
Good?
Is Carla Davis back? Oh, okay, sorry.
No, that's fine.
Good evening, Dr. Watts and all members of the board. I'm Carla Davis. I'm a dual language Spanish teacher at Scenic Hill Elementary. The concern that I'd like to address this evening is, as the other gentleman stated, that the class size, especially in the dual language, I am currently teaching, I'm responsible for 44 students. And so I'm really concerned about class size affecting the students. Now, I heard a young man say that opportunities with language, speaking Chinese, Spanish will be the second most widely spoken language in the world by 2020, second only to Chinese. So obviously Spanish is very important. I think we have about 4 dual language schools. And I know that providing opportunities for students is very important. It's a concern for all of us. And so being a dual language teacher, I'm there to teach and I want to do what's best for kids. But already being responsible for 44 students, I'm pretty overwhelmed. So I think that it would be just not doable at all with a larger class size. Also, I'm concerned about funds that we, it sounds like miscalculated or misappropriated. I'm a fairly new teacher. Last year I taught 4th grade dual language. This year I'm teaching kindergarten. However, I probably won't be here next year due to the fact that I'll be one of those people that will be gone. So I had really hoped. I had started my career under a conditional certification, although I've previously been a truancy secretary, a head gymnastics coach, a para-educator, a homeowner for over 20 years, and 2 students in the district. So I'm also single head of household with a husband who's suffering cancer. I don't know what's going to happen with my job.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Ruggiero, as I most commonly know, one of the last people on the seniority list. And I'm speaking for myself and all the other people there. I moved from Pennsylvania at the same job fair where Kent is once again recruiting for dual language, might I add, but I'm sure we have a lot of those people getting cut here. And I originally made that trek all the way across the country where I know nobody, because the Kent School District aligned with my values, successfully preparing all students for their futures. And that was me. You were passionate, you were data-driven, you really wanted to make a difference in these kids' lives. And I said, absolutely, that's where I want to be. And now I, like many other probably first-year teachers that I know of, are left with no job completely across the country by ourselves. But the sad part is that's not even why all of us are upset. My students are the reason why I wake up every single day. Yeah, I get homesick, but I couldn't imagine my life without those 23 smiling faces looking at me every day. And I know for a fact that each and every one of us, even though I'm 22 years old, are making an impact on those students' lives. And at Sunrise, we have 4 Mustang ways. This is how you be the best Mustang. You give your best effort, you act respectfully, you act responsibly, and you act safely. And I teach those values, and I live by them. And if I'm expected to live by them, and my kids are expected to live by them, I ask that you please respect us, and especially our children, because taking away teachers from their lives who they value and respect and who are passionate about helping them isn't equitable at all. And I know personally, learning as a first-year teacher, the curriculums of the district, as well as the way that my school works, is going to be a heck of a lot of fun for the next person that comes in. And if we keep starting teachers at their first year every single year, our kids aren't learning. I have plans for next year on how to improve my practice so that it can be even better for my students. And now that's all just kind of, might as well save that for whatever district I end up at next. So I ask that you reconsider, not just for my job. I want my students to have the best future because I see the potential in them, and every day we see our kids at Hope Pledge about how they are talented, smart, and capable of success. And is that what you're setting them up for by taking away jobs of 127 people that you don't even know? Thank you.
Eric Moberly, followed by Gurminder Sandhu, followed by, Jean-Paul Theriot, followed by Janelle Hines.
Good evening, I'm Eric Moberly. Thanks for hearing me. Board members, Dr. Watson, I think you've already had enough of the budget issue. I would say simply more preparation to let parents know would be helpful. I have troubles on the website finding documents and information that I would have benefited me to know what was going on. And it really was kind of a disappointment going to school on Tuesday. I'm a substitute teacher, by the way, and finding out that all the teachers were in a meeting and learning about this tragic news. I am a product of the Washington school system. I'm a high school dropout with an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and a Juris Doctor degree. I'm also a licensed attorney. I took up being involved in schools when my kids were at Carriage Crest Elementary. I volunteered there. I love the teachers. They are the best teachers in the world in this district. They're very dedicated, underpaid, underappreciated, but they love to do what they do. They're dedicated. This one teacher from Chicago, I was over at her school last year. They acted out while I was substituting in PE. She made them write an apology note before they left school that day to me for misbehaving. And this is one of the things that I think is really impacting the teachers and our public. There's a Washington law that says pupils to comply with rules and regulations. It's RCW 28A 600-040. And it says all pupils who attend the common schools shall comply with the rules and regulations established in pursuance of the law for the government of the schools, shall pursue the required course of studies, and shall submit to the authority of the teachers of such schools, subject to disciplinary or other actions as local school officials shall determine. There's schools, when I get the call for substituting, I turn them down. I will not go to those schools. There's other substitutes that will not go to the school. This teacher made her students stand up and be responsible for it, right? There are educators, principals that will back you up. I've been in schools where I've been bullied by the principals, left jobs that were going to be long-term because I was bullied by the principals to submit to their inability to enforce the law, which requires pupils to follow policies, procedures, and rules. Now, the school districts are required by administrative law to make these rules, policies, and procedures to force the students to do this. But if those don't work, then you're not complying with the law. There is a severe problem with bullying in the school district. I sat next to the governor's ombudsman 3 years ago taking a continuing legal education class on bullying. And this district came up in discussion of districts that were sued and had to settle cases on bullying. I see it on a continual basis. I'm bullied on a continual basis, and I get supported by certain principals, but they are limited what they can do. They cannot suspend students that need to be suspended. They cannot have students expelled that need to be expelled. It starts at home. I get 4 hours a day with the student. The other hours a day, they're at home. Parents need to be held accountable. These parents here are accountable to their students because they're showing up and talking to the board. But the rest of them, they say, oh, the parents don't care, nothing I can do about it. Too bad. That's what we have the law for. That's what we have truancy laws for. That's what we have dependency courts for. That's what we have foster care for.
Thank you,
We're
Mr.
an
Mo.
education, but we're not a daycare. Okay? Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name's Gurminder Sandhu, and I've grown up in Kent. I'm actually a product of the Kent School District. And I'm a first-year teacher at Sunrise Elementary. Now, I know many of you know this, but being a first-year teacher is hard. But can you imagine being a first-year teacher being told, hey, you might not be coming back next year? It's very hard. I'm just starting out, but I've poured my heart and soul into my job. I get to school way earlier than I need to be to make sure that my kids are ready for the day and so that I can provide them with the best education and make sure that they succeed. I feel like I've built a community for myself at my school. I've gotten involved. I'm part of a yearbook club. I've gotten to know the 6th graders and some of the 5th graders, and it's been a great year so far, but I feel like all of that is being taken away from me for something due to something that was not caused by me. The teachers didn't cause the budget crisis. That wasn't our fault. I don't understand why we are being cut and how that is seen as a solution. It was to my understanding that if the levies were passed, teachers would be safe. So I don't understand why we are being cut even though the levies have been passed. I'm urging you to find another way to make up the loss in the budget. I don't think that cutting teachers is the answer. And I really just want to stay at my school. I want to stay involved in my community. I decided to come back and work at Kent because I've had such a great experience going to school in Kent. I believe in the values of this district, and I want to keep promoting those values in our schools. And I don't think cutting teachers is the way to go. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John Paul Thurio. I work at Northwood Middle School. My wife is a teacher in this district, and our daughter goes to a school in this district. I want to start by thanking everyone who's spoken prior to me because so many amazing points have been made, and I don't really feel the need to reiterate that. However, I do want to start by just mentioning that what Fred Munch said was that we have to be advocates for our own futures here. And I definitely want you to know that, ma'am, I did vote for you. And then my intention is to vote every cycle that comes up, new leadership. Because I have been with this district for quite some time now, and I'm really unsure what exactly the agenda is for this district. I feel like I have worked under Barbara Grohe, I've worked under Vargas, now under Dr. Watts, and I kind of agree with what that lady said. You've inherited a really bad situation. However, we have a history of a board that tends to rubber stamp things, and truly, working at Northwood, I saw Vargas more during my time there in the studio, carrying his little makeup kit, coming around, making sure he was saying the right things, but truly not getting to know who we are. We had this gigantic parade when Dr. Watts came on board, but I still don't think anyone truly knows who we are. And I know that in so many ways, listening to all these stories, especially the people who got hired and came out, it's just one of those things where, you know, teaching is such a hard profession, and so many people give so much. But I feel so disrespected by this district. Even by this policy you have here, where so many people have asked you point-blank questions, but your policy is to sit and listen. Forgive me, but when I sit and teach, I have students that can sit there just like you and pretend to listen, but then go about their own business. I really feel there's no reason why there cannot be an open dialogue, why certain answers cannot be found. And you know, I really feel the need to bring up the fact, to further my point, that you really don't take the time to get to know your teachers, by commenting on the fact that I find it so disheartening that when we go to bargaining, a lawyer is brought on behalf of the district to battle against us. I feel like listening to these stories, what people have given in their classrooms, and yet you keep a lawyer on retainer to fight against us, to keep us from getting things with little bonuses if that person, you know, keeps teachers from getting certain things. Yeah. Come on. Like.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sure. Okay, next up, Janelle Hines, followed by Se-Young Choi, followed by Kirsten Lewandowski, and then Shannon Jeffson Hernandez.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hines. I am a parent of 3 children, one recent graduate, one high schooler, and one middle schooler in the district. I don't even know where to begin. I've been sick to my stomach since I got the news last week. By the way, I work at Mill Creek too. I'm a para down there. Been sick to my stomach since I got the news that an amazing person named Charlene Pritchard was losing her position as an administrator. That woman has given so much to these children in this district for the past 17 years. My child would not have graduated last year if it were not for her. She gives so much of herself and is so selfless to every child that she comes across. I have seen her buy shoes for children who their shoes are falling apart. I have witnessed her pick up a child whose mother dropped her off and said, "I'm done." But so that student did not have to lose her position on the basketball team. She drove her to Auburn every night to her group home that she was in. And there is no answers as to why. It makes no sense to someone that can get and build a relationship with some of the toughest kids in our district that come back year after year and just want to say hi because that teacher made a difference in their life. They are still in school because of that person. How many people in this room can say that? Not too many. Thank you.
I'd like to just again remind everyone to omit exact names of people. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Young Choi. I am a second-year teacher. I'm not sure if the rifts are going to affect me or not, but I just wanted to share something. I wasn't going to come up and speak, but I felt compelled, like the feeling of I should say something. So I just wanted to share that January and February of this year, I was kind of going through a slump. And the slump was not because of the whole levy and RIF issue, actually. I feel like because I've already gone through enough to know that I have faith that if things go wrong, it'll right itself. And I also don't have kids, so if things go wrong, I'm not really afraid of very much. So that's not why I've been in a slump. I've actually been in a slump because as a teacher, I've been realizing that I cannot give my kids everything that they deserve. I love my kids so much, and I think of my kids, and I have my special education kids, I have my ELL kids, I have so many kids who have gone through so much trauma in their lives. And I don't know if it's because January was the time where they're like, I've known my teachers well enough that I'll share my lives with them. But I've been hearing these things that I know as a teacher, I can't do it. They deserve so much more. And I can try my best, but I know, and I realize, I've come to the realization I can't do everything. And recently, I've kind of been feeling a little bit better. I'm thinking, after my second year, second year is still kind of crazy. Maybe I can think of some things. Maybe there are some things that I can think of to help out with the situation. And I was finding reasons to be thankful for being, I'm at Mill Creek Middle School also, by the way. And being thankful for the staff who is so passionate, the admin who is so passionate. I've been so blessed and so lucky. I used to drive an hour and a half to get to school, and I didn't mind because I was surrounded with people who care and love for their kids. They just care for the kids, and they love the kids, and are so passionate about the kids. And I was finding comfort in that, and I was thinking it's going to be okay. Maybe we can't give all the kids everything they deserve, but we are trying our best. And I was finding comfort in that. And I don't know how these things work, but I just thought I would share that story and to say that this came at a time where I was constantly thinking, we need more. Like, even with such an amazing staff, even with such an amazing admin, it's still not enough for these kids. They're still not getting everything that they need. And so the thought that instead of getting more, that we get less, was a scary thought, not for myself, but for the kids that I think of and that I lose sleep over and that I cry over. And that's all.
Kirsten Lewandowski.
My name is Kirsten Lewandowski. I'm a third grade teacher at Seuss Creek Elementary. And I guess I too just kind of felt convicted to come talk to you about relationships and the kids that we're serving. Kids that we're serving in our schools, I thought about the crisis. Somebody mentioned crisis. We have a very unique school at Seuss Creek. We've got 2 link programs, a primary and an intermediate. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a program for kids with autism. We've got self-contained programs. We've got preschool. We have parents that are on all different spectrums of, that come to us from different languages and backgrounds, academically, socioeconomically, and it is hard to build relationships, and it takes a long time. We've got 2 first-year link teachers, and it is blood and sweat getting to empower those children, provide programs for them, and to establish relationships with those parents and those families, and then again with our preschool too, all across the board. We've got kids that are in crisis. The one that has people that have not been mentioned are our administrative assistants. I'm thankful for all the advocacy for teachers, but I want to talk about the trickle-down effect. I've got kids in my classroom that I send to our admin secretary, our head secretary or our admin person to do a check-in, check-out at the end of the day because they have trouble during school and they need some accountability. So they run on down there to down to the office and they say, Miss Head Secretary. And she says, yeah, how was your day? I said, it was a good day. All right? And then they get rewarded there. Sometimes it's, you know what, I had a really bad day. She is their go-to person. Their go-to person. I understand that there's the possibility of being a cut there. We'll always have an admin assistant, but it's not going to be the same person that raised her children in our school, has established relationships with parents, and has established relationships with those children. We have parents that won't come into our schools because they're intimidated either by the language barrier or they're intimidated by that they don't feel like as parents, they don't have the same educational background, so they don't measure up. And we have to entice them and do everything in our power to get them in. And we're not honoring them by giving them a new admin assistant, possibly, or a new paraeducator, or a new somebody that's going to bump somebody down. It's all a big bump across the board. It takes years to establish those relationships. So I'm hoping that those relationships are honored in this process.
Shannon Jefferson Hernandez.
Hello, my name is Shannon Jepson Hernandez. I teach at Mill Creek Middle School. I've been with the Kent School District. I'm now in my 6th year. I've been a community member for 17 years. I am a voting constituent of Kent. I did vote for that levy, and I did it because I believed what I was told. I am heavily active in my community, and I thought that I was sharing the right message with my neighbors and my friends. But today I would just like to read from this so I don't get off track. I want to start with a question. What is your priority? According to the KSD blueprint, the plan was we would be leaning forward together. Yet, less teachers equals less safety. How are we together right now? According to the KSD School Board's mission statement, your job is to approve a budget that reflects the priorities of a district. Does that mean student safety is not a priority? Since you are removing adults from overcrowded schools that are increasing in enrollment due to population growth. Here's my second question. How are you prepared for the projected needs of Kent students? The City of Kent's comprehensive plan, which is a public document, documents these needs along with the projected growth. Needs such as special ed, ELL needs, as well as poverty needs. Then why are we laying off staff when even the city is showing the need for more, not less? Again, less adults equals less safety. Here is the open letter that I wrote to my community, Scenic Hill, where I live, and I also serve as the PTA, and my children go to school. And by the way, my daughter goes to school where I work, so I'm thinking about safety all day long beyond my students. Dear community members, I must apologize for encouraging and endorsing the levy that was on the ballot. You know, the one us teachers and staff heavily endorsed? The one that ended up passing by just a few literal votes? We all believed our employer when they pushed us to promote it because it was going to save jobs and keep kids safe. We weren't aware there was a plan to lay off people anyway, even after it passed. This includes an AP at our school who is such an asset we know her absence will most definitely impact our student safety needs. I don't see how reducing the ratio of adults to students in an overcrowded school system will keep kids safe. For the first time in 6 years, I finally feel balance in my job, and I'm pretty sure it's because we finally are properly staffed. How is it a document adopted by the school board? Here's my next point, sorry, I forgot to introduce that. Still attesting to the former superintendent is a current governing protocol guideline for the board. This is the document when we log onto your site, we can open it up and it shows your protocols for conducting business. As listed on the board's webpage, where you can find this link, it says that it should be regularly revised every 2 years or about that with the review and adoption of new or altered policies as well as changes in board members. Yet this is dated January 11th, 2012. Even better, how is there no bylaw accounting for student safety as your deciding factor in every decision you make? Student safety must be considered in every decision. I expect this, we expect this, our students expect this. You must ask yourself in every action and decision you make on behalf of this community and this district, how does this action hurt or help student safety? Reduction in force is not a solution. It's just a bigger problem lurking around the corner. In closing, to the person who asked, how well do you know your schools? I find it presumptuous that I rarely see a board member deeply invested in any one school. A walkthrough is not an investment. I challenge each one of you to adopt a new school every year where you invest your time just as the teachers and the staff and the parents of this community do. We all donate countless hours to save futures. Why won't you join us and put your boots on the ground with us and then go make your decision and see where your priorities fall? This is not the end to my questions. I promise to be back next month with many, many more. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if these folks are in the room. Maureen Terry? Right, okay. Gabrielle Hooker. Renee Smith. Already went, okay. And I think Zaytun Ahmed went, and Melissa Peters. Okay, so those are I think that's the end of the list. All right, next up on our agenda is our legislative update. So, Mr. Hardy, Director Hardy, will give us an update.
Sure. In the interest of time, I'll focus on important things. So the legislative session was a short session this year, 60 days. No special sessions like there was last year, though it did end last week. There was a lot of bills going in and around. The focus for WASDA overall in our school district was various what we call fixes to 2242. Some of those went through, some of them did not. I know that we had previously spoken about there was a concern of an adjustment to how local districts can do levies. That did not make it, so it remains at the cap of the lower of $100 or $1.50 per 1,000 assessed value or $2,500 per student. It remains at that. The option was the higher of, but that did not get out. What did get out that can impact us specifically was the special education multiplier per student was increased. Not as much as originally got thrown around, but it is increased. So that's an extra increase in funds per special education student. Several regionalization matters went through, though depending on where things fall out, that may not impact Kent that much, but it could impact surrounding areas in terms of how much regionalization goes through in terms of funding as it comes out. Specifically, one of the things that was on there was the K-3 class size of 1 to 17 was delayed a year. So that was going to implement of next year. That is not. That is now off to a year from now, as it is. There is still a supplemental operating budget that was proposed and still has to be signed. That includes some of these things, extra money for special education. And then I have, that's the most of the updates. I know that they're still working on the supplemental budget and the capital budget as well, and those should be finished quite shortly, but they're out of session currently. And really, there's legislature seeking public comment on supplemental operating budget since it's out there and not fully signed yet.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Dr. Watts will now give the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Vengadaslam, members of the board, Ms. Halley, community, and friends, family, and students, those who are not here. I'm going to begin, I think, a little more than 2.5 years ago. I was sitting just right where I believe Director DeBruler is sitting, and I was actually wearing this tie the night that I was tapped to lead Kent School District. Knowing that this does not happen by one person, it happens with a team of leaders, it happens with a team of board superintendent governance. I began my entry with a statement that said leadership is not easy, but it is simple. It's as simple as A, B, C, D, E. A standing for accountability. Accountability means that when you set a goal and you achieve it, something should happen. We celebrate. If it's a lighthouse or a pilot, we bring it to scale. Accountability also says that when you set a goal, you don't achieve it, again, something should happen. You ask why. You determine if it's policy or performance or a person. And then you take the necessary steps to improve. The B is best we know practices. We know that research and evidence says that there are some things that when you do them well, they have a tendency to work better than others. Our goal is to make sure we put those practices in place, whether it's in the classroom, in the boardroom, to the extent that we can support in the living room and our support of our homes and our families. The C is continuous improvement. Each one of us, I believe, in our heart of hearts, we want to be better. We want to improve in every way. But in order for us to improve, I'll just say it very succinctly, we can't improve unless and until we change. And that change comes about in many different ways. Sometimes change is harder than other times. This is one of those times. D is data-driven conversations. I don't believe in making data-driven decisions. We have conversations that are based on data. It's not everything, but it does help us move in the right direction, make the most appropriate recommendations. And I say recommendations because sometimes a decision simply means you have one or the other. We have some very complex recommendations that need to be made in an organization that's our size, that impacts many people. And this is not in any way to dismiss the pain and anguish that has been expressed this evening or over the last couple of weeks or months or, quite frankly, for some time now. Amongst all of the goodness and greatness that's taking place in our classrooms, in our living rooms, in our boardroom, we have work to do. I don't deny that. The E is for equity. And that's sometimes a hard word to understand. Equity means that our opportunities for each and every student, each and every individual in this school district need to be addressed for the purpose of, at the end of the day, to ensure that there's an equality of outcomes. There's a standard. We may not get there at the same time, but our goal is to get there, to grow, to be proficient. I heard this evening that there is an opportunity for us to rebuild trust. Trust is just like that New Year's revolution, I call it, instead of a resolution. Sometimes every year we want to get in better shape, and it takes a long time to do that, and Unfortunately, it takes a very short time to get out of shape, and trust is no different. Building relationships. It takes a long time to build that trust, and unfortunately, one or a few events, unintentional or intentional, mistake, or simple happenstance can cause a relationship to decline. It can cause a relationship to lose that trust. I'll say this. I'm upset too. I think we all share in the frustration. I can't speak for everyone here. I don't walk in your shoes. But I share in the frustration in that this is not exactly how I would have written the script for my first 3 years as superintendent. I am proud and honored to be our superintendent. And I also know we have work to do. We're here. So I don't place any blame. I take full responsibility. We're here and we have to be better. So what I know is going to happen in the next weeks and months to come, we have already planned, and while we have not shared this publicly, this information about community conversations, that two-way meaningful, that goal number 2, that is going to be a part of our new reality. Conducting community conversations so we hear from our communities. We're listening, just like tonight. And unfortunately, I know that's hard to understand. If we did respond, we would be here till 2 o'clock in the morning. And we will be responding. There will be opportunities for you. We are listening. We've heard a great deal this evening. We'll be meeting after this evening to assess and process what we've learned today so that we can communicate. And in April, within the next week or so, you'll be hearing about those community conversations and what that will look like, because this communication doesn't stop at the dais, it doesn't stop in the boardroom. And I'm sorry that it takes this event, this time, to bring people together. At the same time, let's use this as an opportunity to improve as an organization. I'm here to say I stand ready to do that alongside our school board. And that concludes my presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Watts. Director Daniels?
I again want to start by saying how much I appreciate seeing and hearing from students and parents, staff members like myself, with the concerns about our students and our staff. I'm one of those that actually get to see students. I mentor in the schools. I advocate for students with teachers. I am part of, as many of you, PTA, booster clubs, all of those things. I have students in the district, so I do share your concerns. I also understand that it's really important for us to be able to work together to solve our problems. I too am impressed that so many of you are here to support those people that you care about and those programs you care about. There are many opportunities for us to come together as a community to make your voices heard. And I would love to hear them as we move forward supporting our students. I think that I had the privilege of attending the town hall meeting that happened at Kent Meridian. And it was fantastic to hear the voices of our students and their concerns. And to see the support that they received from some of the staff members. I too have questions about some of the things that happened and why some things didn't happen. But, I encourage you to continue to work with us and to reach out to us with your concerns. I believe that there should be open dialogue, and I know you have questions, and we have questions, to be quite frank with you. And so together, I think that we should search for answers for those questions. And again, keeping our student outcomes in the forefront as we also consider things like, student performance, graduation rates, some of our discipline issues. And I would love to see more involvement around those areas as well. and as people in general, it's pretty easy to come together when you're angry about something. It should be easy to come together when we celebrate also. And so I would encourage that as well. So I look forward to seeing you more and to having dialogue and reaching some solutions with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was a second-year teacher, I was riffed, and I was extremely emotional. I understand what you're feeling. Just was barely getting started, and I got kicked out, basically, of what I felt. I appreciate the feelings that people have shared tonight. I especially appreciate those people who are solution-based. We had a few people suggest some things, and that's what we need, is we need to hear your ideas, your possible solutions. 85% of our budget is people, and it makes it really hard to cut as much money as we need to cut without affecting people. That being said, let's take a look. Christy, you said something that you were willing to make some concessions. I'd like to hear what those might be, and we might make some too. So let's get together and talk. So I have, from what I heard tonight, there are things that some of you obviously don't know, so our communication has not been good enough. But there are things that, extenuating circumstances that I guess you need to know about, and I hope that we will be able to explain those to you shortly. I'm going to leave it at that.
I just use a little bit of my time to re-harp on, a lot of the things that we're dealing with is when we have revenues coming in, a lot of this comes from state. State has redone the entire way that districts get revenue, both from a 2242 as well as how we're supposed to allocate funds. And the supplemental operating budget is out, and legislators are dying for public comment on, are they doing the right things? Are they working on the nuances? Are they making sure that there's funding for special education, for ELL, the right way at the state level as much as they can do? And they're seeking that feedback, and we're hearing it as much as I've heard tonight. I'm going to go call them and let them know, but I keep wanting to hearing more, and they want to hear more as well. Getting money in the right place is something that we as a board can rarely do. We worry most with the expenses, and we got to work with the state as much as we can. And so I'll encourage us, everybody, to actually get with your legislature, send it to me, I'll send it to them, and then figure out how we can make the right fixes to the overall revenue budget system.
Thank you. So I won't reiterate everything that's been said. I do appreciate the comments that have been made by my fellow board members already, and I do appreciate people coming and speaking. One of the things that I heard as a resounding theme was relationships, and one of those relationships that I know that I personally value is mentoring. And I have an opportunity, I mentor every week a young man, and I know when I'm not there, he's like, where were you, what was happening? Along with that, Director Daniels and I had an opportunity to meet with a couple of students from KM this past week and just hear some of their ideas and looking and collaborating on different ways that we can continue those conversations and hear more about our students, because our students have lots of ideas on how to make things better. Along with that, our work session that we had recently, where we're looking at having student voice and really looking about how can we help make sure that we're hearing our students. I know that's so important to make sure that we do have our kids in the center of everything that we do. And we do appreciate what you're doing, and I look forward to further conversations.
Thank you, Debbie. I just, I want to add that I know we heard quite a bit about that we're just listening but not responding to questions. And unfortunately, the protocol requires that, but there are several of us. We are out in the schools. We're listening to staff members. We're listening to community members. I spent yesterday 3 hours speaking with folks about all the changes that are happening. So I know it looks like we're disconnected, but we all work, we have family issues, and we spend our evenings talking with school staff members, community members, and, you know, this is our life. So we are not paid to do this work. You know, it's tough work. And it's very, very difficult to hear some of the stories we heard this past week. And I assure you, this is not easy for us to be here. And we really value all of you. And I agree with my board colleagues. We want to figure out how we can communicate better. Because when I heard yesterday an individual say that I'm in the bottom of the totem pole and nobody cares about what I have to say, but I want to tell you what I think. I mean, that sets a tone, and that's on us. You know, that's how we made this individual feel. So as a district, we have a lot of work to do in valuing, in showing that value and showing that individuals matter. And I so apologize for the way if we have made you feel that way, that you don't matter. I think we have a lot to do, and we really thank you for sharing your stories with us tonight. Okay. And with that, we will adjourn the meeting, and we wish you a good night. Thank you for staying.